All right. Okay, we are live, Joan. Are you here? I hear you walking up to me. Oh, you're gonna sit over there. Joan's out already. Sorry. Sorry, everybody. Oh man, what a week I had. Woo! Busy week. Busy. Crazy busy. What did I do? Oh boy. I did a couple of senior places this week. And then yesterday was Replay Con, and that was in Hamilton, New Jersey, at the American Legion Hall. And that was like pretty awesome, I gotta say. It was a first time con, and he did a really good job. He had the entire American Legion Hall, he had rented tents outside. And despite the fact the weather was kind of crappy and cold, kind of damp, tons of people came out. Tons of people. So good on you. And really Hamilton is a sort of a new area for geekdom. It's got a decent population for the area. But hold on, I gotta answer this. It's got a decent population for the area, so I gotta answer this. Sorry. All right. Who's here? Arden's here. Is the American Legion a veterans group as it is in Canada? Yes, it is. How are you? How is you, by the way? I is fine. I is fine. Indie Phantom, what is the deal with Hollywoke? They seem to be inclined to suck BO. To suck. BO is falling apart. Yes, it is. Carter Chain, happy Sunday. Ardent says hello. What is up with Hollywood? Well, we're finally getting the the chickens have come home to roost. The chickens have come home to roost. You can only sort of hollow out your brand for so long. Disney especially. Now Disney is the biggest media company in the United States, and it's destroying itself, in my view. It's absolutely destroying itself. As a brand, it's dead, I say. You have no further to look than Daredevil and Star Wars. Andor and what was the other show? The Skeleton Crew. Because those shows, Indie Phantom, St. Patty's is around the corner. Yes, it's tomorrow, I think, right? Yeah, it's tomorrow. So they've hollowed themselves out to the point of which, man, everybody's texting me now. Hi, watching your live. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't read this out. I will. Happy emoji. There you go. So it's just the brands are dead, you know. So who's gonna watch a new Star Wars thing? This happened in comics. Again, it's all about comic books. I know I keep circling back to comics. You're probably like, what does this have to do with Hollywood? Like, comic books did this already. I would go to comic book conventions, and there would be panel discussions at the big conventions, right? And now I'm going to rant in a minute. You guys are chatting away. So there'd be these big events. And for instance, Image would have their panel discussion, right? And what would it be? It would be whoever was the publisher that year going in and saying how great Image Comics were and some of the upcoming events. But after a while, Image, Marvel, and DC, they would do this all the time. Valiant, if you remember Valiant, they would do this all the time. And they actually had store owners who would raise their hand during these panel discussions and say, isn't this just the same stuff you always do? And it was true. It was all the same crap. It seemed to me and other people. I wasn't the only one who said that. I wouldn't even go to the panel discussions about Marvel and DC, and I was reading them still. So they burned out their brand. Now, in the case of comics, it was just sort of a slow giving the fans less and less, I think, and raising the prices and promising the moon and stars. Oh, they promised the movies. Oh, this is going to change everything in Batman. This is going to change everything in Strike Force, in Cyber Force. This is going to change everything in, a Marvel comic. And it just wouldn't. Or it would be very temporary. And eventually, people just stopped listening. And what was once a massive room full of people interested to hear what the publishers were putting out next year turned into nothing. Turned into comic book companies don't even go to certain shows. And shows, where's Wizard World? Where's Wizard World? The same thing is now happening to a brand like Disney, I say. It's collapsing. I say. Indie Phantom, happy Shamrock Day. Carter Chain, I've been MIA working 12 hours the past 2 weeks. Has something big happened? Well, Captain America bombed, and Snow White is in the midst of bombing. Indie Phantom, Daredevil dead on Rebirth. Yeah, I mean, and from all reports I've read, it's not a bad show. It's pretty watchable. Not quite what the Netflix series was, but close enough that fans would have jumped on had not Disney done everything in their power to resist going back to that. And now, forced into it, they finally put it out, and the ratings are lower than The Alkalite and Agatha, whatever they called it. I don't know what they finally called it. Agatha All Along, I think, was the final title. They changed that title 5 times. Now, I haven't seen any of these shows, but what I've seen of them, I can say pretty confidently the Daredevil show is better than both The Alkalite and Agatha, blah, blah, blah. But despite that, it got lower ratings. That's an indication it's just, they're just in a dive. Because who wants to spend money on Disney Plus? People are going broke. Everything costs way too much money now. I can't even buy eggs. That's my discussions now with people. Oh my God, did you see the price of eggs? Eggs were over $10 a dozen in my store. And I refused to buy them. And then somebody told me the hot new deal. Oh, I just got it over at this store for $5.75. I think it's at Aldi for like $5.75. Which compared to over $10, that's not bad. But they're limiting people buying eggs at Aldi to 2 per dozen. Because, yeah, eggs are expensive. Which means everything egg-related is expensive if you're buying it out to eat or whatever. Or they got to substitute something else in it. And it's crazy. Ardent, quit texting him and come to chat. It says Ardent. No, that's not going to happen. Ardent, heard good things about Daredevil, but I'm guessing it's a little too late. I wish someone had handed Tarantino a few issues of Archer and Armstrong. I don't know if he would have done it. Indie Phantom, Hollywood tells comics, hold my Bud Light. Yeah, that would be it. LOL says Ardent, JEC is here. Hi, hi, hi. He also says, I mean, the first Daredevil show had run its course. What did they think? Well, if you'll remember, at least I heard, again, I didn't say it, the third season did start heading into wokeness, I guess, and they were kind of starting to screw it up, but then the series ended. But still. LeMay, good evening. Carter, listen, Tony, I work for the Department of AG. We're working on the ag prices, damn it. It's not your fault. It's just going to take 6 months for new chickens to emerge and lay eggs. JC, eggs are still like $3.50 Canadian here last time I checked. Ooh, that's cheap. That's cheap because your money is worthless. No, I don't know what it is. Indie Phantom, lower expectations. I ruined that. Sorry. Guard it. If Biden didn't do the chicken holocaust, we wouldn't be in this mess. I think you meant to say. And I probably shouldn't use that word on a live stream, but yeah. So back to my comic movie analogy. So Disney is at that point. I think the brand is dead and dying. So it doesn't matter what they put out. Even when they put something out good, people are going to go, eh. Andor, I hear, is at least watchable. Skeleton Crew got better, I heard. But it's not making a difference. JC, it's like 75 cents on the dollar. Wow, I got to go to Canada and get some eggs. Run them across the border. Ardent, Canadian eggs are subject to supply management, unfortunately. I don't know what that means. Is that some communist thing Trudeau invented? I'll just assume it is. He's gone now. Congratulations on that, I guess. Meet the new Trudeau, same as the old Trudeau. I guess it's slightly better not to have an out-and-out communist and Captain Blackface in charge. Ardent, it's back up to 75 again. Last I looked, it was that against the euro. Well, hopefully things will shake out soon. We'll see. Ardent, production quotas, it's from back around the first Trudeau. Oh, no. That's like price controls. Those are always bad. We still have stuff. JC, sorry, 70 cents. I just looked. Wow. We still have stuff in our economy from the FDR days with regards to farm subsidies that are still a pain here. But we've got a whole crop of new problems, I hear, regarding how Walmart buys a lot of their produce and stuff like that. But I digress. But Disney is, I think, going down the tubes. Nothing's going to help it at this point. Except slamming on the brakes on wokeness, number one, because that's their biggest problem. Number two, committing to quality again and investing back into their talent and the other areas that they've, in my view, let go. And then three, doing that for like the next 4 or 5 years before people start to go, okay, now I trust Disney again. Now I hear some of the shows are good and they're getting decent ratings and people are talking about them again. And now there's not a bunch of woke crap there. Then people will start to come back. When you can get a guy like me, now I won't buy Disney Plus, but I might go to my friend's house and watch it. So when you hear that I'm at my friend's house watching one of the Disney Plus shows, then you know you've at least won it back. Because it's going to take a lot to get me back to Disney. Now, other people, not so much, but they've also got competition. I mean, Apple TV, for the money, probably your best buy. I mean, if you're talking about streaming and you're paying for it, probably it's either Apple TV or Paramount, I would lean towards. Max isn't really nothing, in my view. Apple TV, at least all this stuff is new for the most part. The only advantage Warner, like Max and what's the other one, Paramount, have is they have a few hits from the past that would lure you in because at least they have the library and you could watch that. You know, for me, I kind of want Paramount Plus only because I really enjoy, say, Beavis and Butthead, and I wouldn't mind watching a rerun of that because they're all kind of the same anyway. But I don't watch a lot of reruns in general. But Max has all the Adult Swim stuff, but I've kind of seen it all. I'm kind of waiting for all the newer Adult Swim stuff to creep on there because I don't have TV anymore. But even that, I just don't watch TV anymore. I have no interest. It's like, again, eating ice cream. If the ice cream isn't super top tier, I don't want it. I don't want to eat crap ice cream. I want to eat good ice cream. So I'll wait until the good place is open, and it's about another month here. Royal Crown ice cream will be open, and I'll just wait. I just won't have ice cream until then. It's the same thing with TV. I will wait. People trying to push Severance on me, I will wait. I will wait till the last season where everybody will be disappointed and say, oh man, we got robbed. This should happen. That should happen. And then I'll be like, see? And then I don't have to waste my time. JC, Carney is as bad as Trudeau. He was the one pulling Trudeau's strings in the first place. Yeah, but he didn't do blackface, so at least he's slightly less embarrassing. I'm trying to look on the bright side here. How bad did Snow White do anyway? I missed that. No, we're about to talk about it. Ardent, I got 4 months at $2 a month of Disney Plus. Don't intend to even be on it until my birthday next month. Well, that's not a bad price for Disney Plus, just even to watch Daredevil, but you know, it's not going to stay at that price, I assume. I think it's over. What's it over here? I think it's like $16, $17 here. Indie Phantom, paying for streaming? Explain this lofty concept. My interest in watching TV is also non-existent. Yeah, I really don't have to pay for streaming. I mean, I got Netflix and Max, and I don't pay for either one of them, so, and I barely watch them. JEC, I just watch YouTube slop mostly. If I get desperate, I'll put an audio, I think you meant audio book on. Oh yeah, you did. Carney was friends with Ghislaine Maxwell. Yeah, I guess that's worse than Captain Blackface when you think about it. Ardent, got it more to catch the few Star Wars shows I missed. Andor mostly. Yeah. Yeah, so it's bad. I mean, you've got Captain America 4 and now Snow White. And let's see the damage here. All right, here we are. The number one movie this week, which I'm kind of happy about. This is probably a good sign, is Novocaine. Novocaine looked good. This is Dennis Quaid's kid from The Boys, starring as a guy who can't feel pain. Like he was born with some weird nerve ending situation, so he doesn't feel pain. Ardent, got it more. Oh, I read that one. 8.7 million. I mean, that's not a big, debut or anything, but at least it's the number one movie and it's good, or looks good to me. Indie Phantom, Snow White is next week, I think. It is? Oh, I thought it was this week. They were talking about some of the money. Yeah, it doesn't. I don't see it here. I thought it was way at the bottom. That's why I didn't see it. Well, all right. So I guess we got to still talk about Captain America. Number 2 is Mickey 17. This is a shame. 7.5 million, drops by 60%. Oh man, this is getting friggin' reamed. Not a good sign in the second week to drop more than 50%. 67 million. Indie Phantom, beta male action getting old fast. I mean, this looked okay. Cost 118 million. Is that gonna make it? No, I don't think that's gonna make it. That's not gonna make its money back. So word of mouth on this is not great. That is not money. Novocaine, I don't know what the budget on this is probably low. I didn't post it. But I don't know, Novocaine, the trailer made me laugh, so. Number 3 is Black Bag, 7.5 million. Almost drove Mickey to 17 down to 3. Might even do it if, because these are estimates for Sunday. $60 million budget, and they're at 7.5 million, 11.7 for worldwide. That is not good. That is not going to make 60 million, I don't think. Next week, it'll be this won't even break 30 million, maybe. That's bad. Oof. Oofa. Isn't this Soderbergh? Is this Soderbergh? I forget. I know it's Fassbender. Yeah, Soderbergh directed. Oof. Oofa. Not good. Not good, B.O. Indie Phantom, look at that poster for Mickey 17. Be better with Mickey friggin' Mouse. Freaking Mouse. Yeah, it's not a great poster. This poster I like. It reminds me of the old school posters back in the day. But again, I mean, how many more spy dramas are you going to throw at us? I'm so confused to how they decided this was a good idea. Indie Phantom, hard to tell what qualifies for theatrical. These all look made for streaming. Yeah. JC, I mentioned last time I was at the theater, every trailer was for spy movies. Effeminate male leads, they all look so cringe. Yeah, like this one is Fassbender and what's her face are married, and she is the double agent maybe, and he's got to figure it out and bring her in or kill her or whatever. There's no drama to it because the West is the best. Who is gonna take us down? We're too busy fighting amongst ourselves. If you did like an actual drama about spies spying on their own president, oh yeah, I might be in, if you were actually truthful about the current state of politics as opposed to just doing a movie like Civil War where we all know who the bad guy is. That could be really intriguing. But Hollywood is so dishonest. And you can't have that kind of dishonesty in your art, in my view. So a lot of these just amount to fantasies of people in Hollywood the way they wish. I mean, look at Robert De Niro in Zero Day. Robert De Niro in Zero Day is like Robert De Niro decided, ooh, I can pretend to be the president in the movie and tell everybody what I really think of Orange Man. It's pathetic. Doesn't make a good movie unless Robert De Niro is a genius, but he's not. He's not a genius. JEC, Black Bag, that was one of the trailers I saw. Looked like the spy who cucked me, to repeat my joke. I like that one better. That one's like on point. Yeah, it's... I don't want to say it. There's nothing at stake for me watching it because I know whoever the villains are going to be some made-up villains. They're not going to be Chinese. I'll bet you money it's not the Chinese, and it should be. If it was China, it was the United States versus China, then you might have my attention. By the way, I did write a spy thing in the Pineys. In book 13, there's a spy character, and guess who he's fighting? He's fighting Chinese guys. Because that's the guys you got to worry about. You might have to worry about the Russians and the Iranians. They're in the mix, certainly, but not as bad as the Chinese. The Chinese are doing damage. The Russians are probably just trying to keep up. The Iranians are just trying to do damage. But the Chinese, they're only just starting to look for those guys, I think. And I mean the Chinese communists, of course. Not Chinese Americans, obviously. JC, Fassbender staying home while his wife is out doing spy stuff. Probably effing other dudes. That's all a female spy is good for. Getting information by sleeping with targets. Oofa. The thing is, this isn't even modern spycraft. There's a guy, he used to work for the CIA, and he just wrote a book. I think this came out maybe a year or two ago. And one of the things he talks about in the book is how guys in the CIA now, they don't even go anywhere. They do everything from Langley, which is where the spies are, which I shouldn't know that, by the way. Um, and they just do stuff there. Like, they do everything by phone and by the internet, and they rarely travel. Rarely travel. Imagine you're a CIA spy and you rarely travel. What the F are you doing? You would imagine that our spies would be in places like Moscow, in Beijing, in Tehran. That's where our spies belong, spying on those regimes. North Korea. You know, people we need to keep tabs on. The Ukraine. Is that happening? Not according to this guy. He said they were doing stuff over the internet. You can't do stuff on. You can't spy on people over the internet. You got to be there. You don't know who you're talking to on the internet. Ardent at JEC. So based on an actual events then. JEC. All they do these days is Fed post online trying to push the narrative. Ardent. Ottawa. Indie Phantom. It's like when the Cold War ended, the Bond stories struggled to invent credible villains. Spies or so 1966. Yeah. Yeah, I remember when, I guess it was in Pierce Bronson days, they had a villain, and they explained in the movie he had worked for, like, the IRA, Al-Qaeda, and then they just rattled off every terrorist organization, as if these guys work freelance, and the terrorists just go, oh yeah, this guy will be loyal, let's give him $100,000 and tell him to go blow up a car or something. Didn't make any sense. That's not the way it works. A lot of the terrorists who are left, they're very drawn on ethnic lines and cultural lines, just like organized crime. But even more so with the terrorists, because there's not a lot of these guys around. You know, you can't make a Hamas guy like a freelance guy. He's either in Hamas like forever, and that's his main deal. And he's probably not getting out to go work for, you know, the IRA. It was so bizarre. But that's Hollywood being afraid to point anybody out and saying, okay, here's a bad guy. In 1966, it was easy because you would just say, oh, yeah, this is Spectre. They're all aligned with the Soviets. We all know those guys are a bunch of a-holes, so we hate them so much. Now they're afraid to, God forbid you offend one of the terrorist groups. Because who knows when our Congress or someone in Congress might switch sides. I'll tell you one terrorist organization. It was called, I think it's still around. It's called the MEK. And they're based out of Iran. They're Iranian Marxist or socialist. Well, they had killed a couple of American soldiers like back in the 70s. And, you know, during the neocon Bush years, I forget who was supporting them, but then there was a handful of Democrats supporting them too, because they got, apparently the MEK started getting money. I'm not sure from who. And then they started funneling that back to Washington to get people to speak out for him, to try to take him off the terrorist watch list so they could overthrow the Iranian regime. And it's like, why are we spending money on this? Please, let's just let these people kill each other and not be involved anymore until they finally come to us and say, hey, yeah, we're sick of killing each other. Can you help us? Crazy Marxist. JC, I mean, if they were running guns, maybe. It just, you know, they're afraid to do what Ian Fleming did. Ian Fleming did some research, and yeah, Spectre was all made up, but he understood how it worked. He was in the spy game. I don't think a single person who's written a spy screenplay in the last 10 years even mildly understands it. They understand it from watching spy movies. And this is what you get. A shadow of a shadow of a shadow of a shadow. Like, spycraft is friggin' ruthless, man. It's ruthless. They couldn't even put on the screen some of the stuff they do. It's so ruthless. You know, a certain island, a certain guy named Jeffrey. Remember that guy? Yeah, that's the kind of stuff these guys are involved in. It's pretty gross, pretty ruthless. So, how are you going to put that on the screen and make anybody even remotely likable? It's really tough. But this is just like, I don't know, soap opera version of Spies, I guess. It was like the complete opposite. There's like no edge to it. JC, Ian Fleming was a spy. Yes, and so was Christopher Lee. I think they were in the same circles at one point, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, that's the best story. Isn't that the best story about Christopher Lee talking to Peter Jackson about how a guy should sound when he's stabbed? Oh, man, what a story. Peter Jackson is telling him, I think, you know, when you're stabbed, you should go, oh. And and Christopher Lee goes, oh, wait a minute. No. When I heard it, it was something like, almost like air escaping. And Peter Jackson realized, oh, my God, this guy was a spy and actually stabbed people and knows what it sounds like. And I'm telling him what to do. It was just a great story. I hope to God it's true. All right. JC, it's middle-aged women running the studios now who just watch British crime shows on streaming. Yeah, some of that is definitely true. I mean, I think you can tell if you look at something like Black Bag, because where's the focus? Is the focus on the spycraft? No. The focus of this movie is the relationship between a husband and wife. Women tend to gravitate towards stories about relationships. That's what they like. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's fine if you want to make a movie for women. I just got done looking at a trailer. It's like it's one of the most women thing I've seen to date. It's a TV series called The Last Anniversary. And it's so focused on women. I can't tell you what the TV show's about, really. It's just like they tease you with all this intrigue and then the trailer ends. And I'm just like, what the hell is this thing about? But spy stuff typically is not aimed at women. It's just not aimed at women. It's aimed at men. So you can't make it for women. You could try. I mean, you could make it like, you know, one of those trashy pirate novels where it's all about the relationship and not about the spycraft if you want, but you can't present it like a regular spy thing, because a regular spy thing, the audience is men. James Bond is for men. Women like it, and some women watch it, but it's aimed at men. Part of the reason the women who like James Bond watch James Bond is because they do like some of the stuff men like. But they've feminized it to the point of ridiculousness. I agree. Ardent, I'm pretty sure Christopher Lee was James Bond in real life. Yeah. JC, I go see my mom. That's all she watches, streaming British slop about MI5 or whatever. Indie Phantom. Yeah, and that bloody chick lit about empowered women is in a romanticized World War II Paris. You know, again, there's nothing wrong with like doing a few stories like that. 60% of your audience is going to be women. So about 60% of your product should probably be aimed at women if you're trying to reach the broader audience. But that means 40% of your stuff should be aimed at men. And it's just not. It's more like, I'd say like 80%, 85% is aimed at women. And the 15% that's aimed at men is so cucked, to use your phrase, that it's almost, it might as well be aimed at women. You got to bring that window towards the men. You got to bring it back towards the men. You don't have to bring it all the way to men, so it's like all men stuff, but enough so, hey, and there should be some stuff in the middle for everybody, but men should make up about 40% of the TV shows and movies. That's their audience. Where are the comedies? Where are the frat bros? Where's the action movies? They all get shunted to the side, and they're usually crammed with a bunch of messaging, so it's almost like apologizing for the movie while you're watching it. Oh yeah, here's an action movie. Oh wait, the police captain's a woman. We're sorry. See, we're sorry we had to make an action movie, but we gave you a female police captain and she's really cool. Like, you don't need that. Not in a men's movie. They're not waiting for that. And women aren't watching a lot of the men stuff. Some of it, yeah. James Bond, yeah, they'll watch James Bond because there's stuff to appeal to women in that too. There's cool clothes and cars, and Bond is suave and handsome. But generally, it's aimed at men. JEC, James Bond appeal is that you need a lead that women want to sleep with and men want to project themselves on. My granny loved Sean Connery. My mom loved Bronson and Craig. Yeah. Sam Rogers, good morning. I watched a video talking about how there are no books for men. Yeah, that's a real problem in the book industry. About 30 years ago, roughly, give or take, the book publishing industry leaned into the women's market and never came back. And while they did so, they hired nothing but women, and pretty soon they drove most of the men out of the industry. Now, it's not completely womenized, but there's mostly women. In my experience, when you go to a book publisher, it's always a her you're talking to. And there's nothing wrong with that on its surface, except that they have a real problem getting men to read, and they sit around all day talking about it, and they can't seem to figure it out. And then when you tell them, well, maybe it's because all your books are feminized and you don't do anything cool and you don't hire any men, and they go, no, that can't be it at all. I mean, I've seen it happen in real time. It's crazy. Until someone comes along and either builds a better book publisher for men, and that's starting to happen now, or, some of the women go, we probably were wrong. Might have to wait a while for that. It's going to be a problem. Ardent, LOL, action television shows, 80s Chuck Norris and Walker, Texas Rangers, 2020s Queen freaking Latifah in The Equalizer. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me when they announce it. I'm like, Queen Latifah? I mean, not for nothing, she ain't exactly in shape to beat people up, if you know what I'm saying. Ardent, morning, Sam Rogers. Ardent, women cannot understand the rule of cool effect. Explain yourself. JC, women admitting that they're wrong. Come on, Tony, come on. Sam Rogers, Ardent, hello everyone. Shoot. Sorry, my cousin's doing my taxes and I have to answer this. I have to answer her question. Nuts. Trying to think of the answer. I'll have to get back to her. Sorry, give me a sec. I'll have to take care of that afterwards. All right. But again, it's not... There's nothing wrong with making a product for women. I would completely greenlight stuff for women. But I would also greenlight stuff for men. The problem is, I think when you have female executives, a lot of them are in the mindset of, well, we have to greenlight stuff for women. Women, all day long, and that's fine. But then when they get to the men stuff, they go, oh, wait a minute, is there too much men stuff here? And then they go through it and pick it apart. Well, they don't have the same thing going on with their projects, right? You don't have a cadre of men at the studio going, wait a minute, this is too girly. Let's go through this and see if you're exploiting men or making misogyn. It's not misogynist. The opposite word for misogyny. comments. I forget the word now. They don't have that balance. It's only gone one way, and now it's gone one way so far. No one's there to like balance it out until some of these book publishers just collapse under their own weight, and everybody has to then spend 5 years wondering, wow, why did this book publisher collapse? Well, maybe it collapsed because they hired nothing but women and then lost 40% of their market and couldn't maintain it. Look at what's happened to comics. Comics is, again, right back to comics. Comics are aimed at men, and they continue to feminize everything in comics. And what's that doing for comics? It's destroying it. The entire industry is going to hell. Sam Rogers, do what you have to do. Yeah, I got to get back to her later. I got to figure out. She asked me a question. I got to figure out what the hell I sent her. I must have sent her something confusing because I can't think of what the hell I sent her in my various receipts and charts I sent. Ardent, had this with my girlfriends before. We'd watch a flick and I'd say a certain sequence was acceptable because it was cool, or something was acceptable even though unbelievable because it was cool. The action in the first Matrix, for example, especially the first Trinity slow-mo kick, the first Matrix movies, was basically a mythological expression of the rule of cool. I see. Okay. I kind of get what you're saying. Look, women and men like different things when it comes to entertainment, and there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes we come together and we both like the movie, and sometimes we don't. That doesn't mean you abandon 40 or 60% of your audience, especially if you're a studio. Unless you're a studio that specializes in men entertainment, or specializes in women entertainment, you try to appeal to both. The ideal situation is you split it down the middle and everybody watches your thing. That's ideal. The problem is, I think it's gone too far in one direction. So even when you have something that's balanced, you will tend to have women picking it apart, going, no, that was good except for those sequences. And then in order to compensate, the production company or the studio might, you look at something like Game of Thrones, I think is probably an example of that. When it started to go woke and the TV guys took it over and they started to make it more equitable. It ruined the show. I think there were probably other elements in there. It's just my opinion, but there have been shows like that. If you have a good show, you don't mess with it. You don't touch it. Let the guys making it cook. But, this is a problem at studios and networks anyway. They have to tinker. No, this is an important show now. We have to tell you, no, keep doing the same thing you did in season 1 and season 2. That's bad advice too. It gets repetitive if you do the same things. Sam Rogers, liberal thought is that all humans are blank slates and that men and women are the same. Yeah, that's no bueno. People, I think, are coming out of that, coming away from that. And really, it's not so much liberal, it's Marxist when you get right down to it. That's a Marxist take on the sexes. A lot of liberals, too many, have adopted that Marxist take because they think they're doing something noble. But yeah, it's not that we're the same at all. It's the differences that make life interesting. And to erase that, well, you see the results, I think, partly at Disney. You got one of the reasons their brands are going down south is their relentless adherence to the girl boss narrative. Is there an audience for the girl boss movie? Somewhat. It's not a huge audience, but somewhat. But even the women who that appeals to are eventually going to go, God, I kind of getting sick of the women. I'd like to see a handsome man take charge, and because that's exciting for them too. And that's also more reality. That doesn't mean there aren't girl bosses out there, but the reality is a lot of men are in charge of things because they do things. Women are more, they have more indirect power. They're more at the home. They're keeping the hearth warm and all that good stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. But again, what makes a good story? You know, I cannot tell you how many times I see a trailer. It takes place in 50 years or longer ago, and then it's like, oh, there's a strong, empowered woman in charge, and it's just like, I'm out. Indie Phantom, where is the Long Am series when you need it? I bought like 40 of those pennies just to complete my man cave library. Sam Rogers, I don't think they will collapse. You can make plenty of money just marketing to women, not talking about comic books. Yeah, I mean, you can, unless you keep trying to market to men, and every time you do, like with Captain America, you lose your shirt. Because either they're going to A, stop marketing to men altogether, which means they become niche, and then they just shrink. And then, you know, when something like Daredevil comes out, that could potentially bring back some of their male audience. They just won't come at all. Once you're a female brand, good luck getting the men. You're going to have to completely rebrand. You're going to have to get a second brand and then build that up. And somebody's going to come in and take 40% of the market, and they'll invest some of that into getting some of the female market, and then you're screwed. So Disney is not in a good place, I think. Ardent at Indie Phantom, LOL, the Duster Smut books, or am I thinking of Lone Star? No, wait, they were both smut dusters. Indie Phantom, Ardent, I have plenty of both. Ardent, I didn't say they were bad, mind you. Indie Phantom, not classic lit, but whatever. Ardent at Indie Phantom, indeed, the Destroyer series was similar level. Definitely not an epic, but so much fun. Ardent, speaking of Marx, did you celebrate the 14th? It was the day Marx gave his final gift to humanity and dropped effing dead. I did not know that. No wonder I felt a little lighter in the 14th. Indie Phantom, I think if we didn't let women vote, I would be okay with them getting more books. Indie Phantom, Destroyer's great. I have a good run of those too. That's one series they really ought to bring back in the movies. They ought to. I mean, now that Fred Ward's gone, they might as well redo the Destroyer series. They kind of didn't really get it going the first time. All right, number 4, dropping from 2, is Captain America: Brave New World. This is in its 5th week, and we're at 5.4 million. This movie cost various estimates. I've heard as high as $375 million just to shoot it. God knows what it costs to advertise. It's just about at break even for the production cost, assuming that's even true and not even higher. It could be higher. It could be $500 million for this thing. I mean, they wasted a ton of money on this. So goes the rumor. But we'll see. But this is it. I mean, it's done. This is about all the money they're going to make. I don't think the toys are doing very well. That could have been an avenue where they made up the money, but no. Nah. Indie Phantom, Remo Williams, the adventure begins and ends. Anthony Mackie is still running around saying stuff. I don't know why. At this point, I mean, I don't know. These people, they just don't seem to understand how to talk like normal people. Now, on one hand, they are in a world that's pretty wacky. Maybe it's because they get out of that wacky world and then they come into the sort of real world of podcasting and talking to kind of normal people, and they don't know what to say, and they've been told like 50 things not to say and 40 things that they have to say, and 30 things they should never say, and they get it all confused, but I don't know. Ardent. Sonny Chiba would have made a great Chiun. Ardent at Indie Phantom. I reviewed that a good while back. Still love it. Indie Phantom Mackie will be wacky. And maybe he smokes the wacky tobacco. I don't know. Yeah, he kind of lost me as a fan. I was really rooting for him in this. When they announced this movie, I wanted to see him somehow fix, his terrible Disney Plus show. I wanted to see that, but it didn't happen. Everybody liked Anthony Mackie as the Falcon when he first came on. Now I think he's ruined it. And once you've lost the fans and you've lost the studio by putting out a goose egg, there's no reason to have your character around other than to make a quick appearance, pass the shield back to somebody who people will like. Chris Evans isn't doing particularly well outside of Captain America. He's in a bunch of stuff. I don't know how well you could say it's doing. We'll see. I don't know. He's not the star. I mean, he was in like Knives Out and a few other things, but they got to get Chris Evans back. I don't think he wants to do it. I couldn't tell you why. I mean, they'd have to drive the money truck to his house for another Captain America movie. He could have done another 3 or 4. JC, Mackie is fine as a supporting character, not a leading man. I don't even think it's him. I think it's the character. Falcon is a sidekick. Always has been. Indie Phantom, you got to look at the MCU in 2025 and just be like, what else he got? Oh, nothing. Yeah. Again, it's this idea that they could take the book of giant IPs at Marvel and just flip through it. I mean, Agatha Harkness is the dumbest thing they ever did. I would have fired everybody involved in that show. I'm like, Agatha Harkness in the comics is an old woman. Nobody knows who the hell this character is, and you're going to develop it into a show. Why? Why bother? Why not just make up your own character at that point? It's just a name that almost no one knows. Yeah. Indie Phantom, I like Chris Evans just staying low. Zebek's Demise, good evening, everybody. Good evening, Zebek's. I mean, they could just recast him. At this point, you might as well. Maybe that's the point of Secret Wars. They'll end it, and then they'll hit the reset button hard, and then a bunch of new actors will show up, and they'll start doing, I don't know, cool stuff again. But in the meantime, I think part of the problem, too, is they just don't have any writing talent anymore. I think they kicked them all out to do DEI BS. And that's a fatal mistake. It's a fatal mistake. Look, if you've got a crappy actor, if you're a good enough director and you have good enough editing, you can almost make that work. I mean, you could definitely lessen some of the damage, I'll say. If you got a bad director, the editor could save you, mostly. Even the producer could come in and get a second editor to fix the movie. They've done that before. If you got bad lighting, bad sound, you can always fix that with the kind of money they put into these movies. But you can't get around bad writing. You just can't. Unless you get another writer in to fix it. Now, maybe the director can fix it if he happens to be a good writer. But these people actually think there's good writing in these DEI hires. And that's part of the problem. If you hired someone based on their race or gender preferences or whatever, and now you have to go, ooh, you're not good. You can't correct them. What? Because now they're like, well, no, 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 no. You hired me. And the moment they resist your corrections, what are you going to do? You're going to fire the person? The whole reason you hired them was to look virtuous. Now you can't fire them. You can't replace them now, you moron. So the writing is key. Look at She-Hulk. Look at the writers on She-Hulk. A bunch of feminist weirdos who thought they were being funny. Anybody could have told you that show wasn't going to make anyone laugh. No one. I don't even think it made them laugh. A bunch of miserable feminists. So, if you need a funny show, you need to hire comedians. And comedians, they're a pain in the ass. They're gonna do a whole bunch of stupid things in the writers' meeting. They're gonna say and do stuff that are politically incorrect. But you have to tolerate talent up to a point. You can't say, "Oh, we'll show the men. We're gonna make fun of the men, and we're gonna fix the men, and we're gonna talk about toxic masculinity." It's not funny. It's just you being angry at men. Indie Phantom. A lot of talk this week of cinemas just going bye-bye, which has been the story for 5 years now. Yeah. Ardent, LOL, movie pitch, parody of The Destroyer, The Restroyer. Steven Seagal as the aged Asian mentor, yellow face and all. Takes a young MMA hopeful played by Sydney Sweeney in a really tight gi under his wing, training her to fight. After she wins her first match, the feds show up and drop the truth. She has been trained to go undercover in yellowface in North Korea to assassinate the head of the government. No, not Kim Jong-un. His hot cousin, played by Zhang Ziyi, in an equally tight outfit. Whew. Well, that's pretty good pitch, I gotta say. A bit convoluted, but pretty good. I mean, you've got all the bikinis in it. Well, tight gis anyway. Sam Rogers, I won't new IP anyway. Not sure what you mean by that. I won't new IP anyway. Oh, I want new IP anyway? Yeah, no, I would rather have new stuff as well. At this point, Marvel should just... Now, years ago, they would shelve this stuff for like 20 years until most people forgot about it, and you could bring it back partly for nostalgia and partly for a new generation. But that cycle's gotten tighter and tighter and tighter. Now they're rebooting all kinds of things that don't need rebooting. They're rebooting Single White Female. That movie wasn't even any good, I don't think. And it wasn't even very original. What the hell are you rebooting it for? Sam Rogers, sorry, I want you... What? Sam's typing on his phone, I think, and he's having issues. Ardent. Sam writes, I give up. No, come on. It's okay. Ardent, be right back. I have to go put Steven Seagal in yellowface with AI. I mean, I'll be back in a bit. Indie Phantom, I would rather have new stuff, except the new Hollywood stuff like Mickey 17. Well, we're stuck with this pipeline, this DEI pipeline, probably for another year. And meanwhile, like, everybody's going broke in the movie industry. Next up, number 5. Oh, well, this is surprising. The Day the Earth Blew Up is number 5. It's the Looney Tunes movie. This is something I actually kind of want to see. I wouldn't go see it in theaters, but I'll catch it on streaming. It should be on Max soon. It's been out for 14 weeks. Is that correct? It doesn't seem correct. Doing 3.1 million today. That doesn't seem right. This had to be in very select theaters for the last 13 weeks, I think. Maybe this is the first wide release? It's weird. It's like it made all the money it's going to make today. I guess it was 13 weeks in foreign theaters, and they sat on it all this time. Okay. Ardent. Big thumb, Sam? Aw, leave Sam alone. He's trying. Sam, that time I was using speech to text. Oh, yeah, that messes me up, too. Number 6, The Last Supper. Is this another religious movie? Yeah. So they remade The Last Supper, 2.8 million. This is another thing they're just going to keep greenlighting is these religious movies. They don't make a lot of money, but they're steady income. And it's got nowhere to go but up with the current trend. People are getting more religious. You watch. Gwen Stefani's the latest one. She's found Jesus, I think, or something like that. Indie Phantom heard that Trump's Apprentice series is back in the top 10 streaming shows since it returned to Amazon Prime. Not surprised. I never watched it when it was on. I hate reality shows. I think they're stupid, but... Ardent, LOL. Accents are a B with speech to text. Big thumbs too. Those are my crosses. Number 7 is Paddington in Peru, dropping from 5, 2.7 million in its 5th week. See, this is doing steady money too. This is a family movie for kids, and families can go see it. I hear good things. Dogman, right after it, same thing, dropping from 6 to 8, 2.5 million. I mean, that's steady money. It's been making steady money for a while. Number 9, dropping from 4, 2.4 million for The Monkey. It's only in its 4th week, though. But that's okay. Dropping from 3 to 10, The Last Breath. But that's only a 44% drop. Interesting. That's that underwater movie with Woody Harrelson. Number 11, dropping from 8, Mufasa the Lion King, 1.1 million. It's in its 13th week. I don't know how that keeps making money. Jesse is here. Hey-o, folks, I'm doing some work here, so I can't talk much. Well, welcome anyway, Jesse. Do what you gotta do. Number 12 is Opus. I think I saw the trailer for this, and I think I passed on analyzing it. A young writer is invited to a remote compound of a legendary pop star, who I believe is played by John Malkovich, who mysteriously disappeared 30 years ago. Surrounded by the star's cult of sycophants and intoxicated journalist, she finds herself in the middle of his twisted plan. I guess. I don't know. It didn't look great. It just looked kind of confusing. Ardent, hope it pays well, Jesse. Number 13, dropping from 7, is Anora, 640,000 in its 22nd week. Oscar-winning Anora. Rule Breakers is number 14, dropping from 9 from Angel Studios. It's in its 2nd week. It dropped 71%. Ouch. That's no bueno. What is this again? In a nation where educating girls is seen as rebellion, a visionary woman dares to teach young minds to dream. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's Angel Studios, so I don't think it intends to be woke, but sounds pretty woke, but not sure. Not sure that's the kind of movie that's good to release right now, because anything that can be construed as woke and the audience is not woke, that's going to be a real problem. Indie Phantom heard Opus was okay, like a comic take on Midsommar. Probably never see it. Yeah, me neither. Number 15 is One of Them Days, the female version of Fridays, in its 9th week. That seemed to do okay. That made money. Number 16, In the Lost Lands. That's a Dave Bautista flick. Oh, wow. dropped 79%. Ouch. That did not do well. Holy criminies. All right. Good news from my tax person. Wow. Lost lands. Might as well call it the lost lands of money. Nah, I ruined that. Might as well call it lost money. That's better. In the lost money, Dave Bautista. Oh, come on. This thing made $2.4 million? That even covered Dave Bautista's, I don't know, bald head wax? I mean, God, I need more iced tea. I was going to say steroids, but Bautista's obviously off the juice. He's so skinny now. Looks like a frail old man. Sam Rogers. There are a lot of countries in the Middle East where women get kidnapped just for trying to be educated. That is true. The irony is that one of those movies, feminine, I think you mean feminist, will ignore. Probably. That's why I say it's probably not a great time to release it. Maybe like in 5 years when we're choking on this Angel Studios movies and there's too many religious inspiring movies coming out. And then, you know, the desperate people on, say, that are more feminist would be like, oh, well, here's something finally. Ardent, good news from the tax guy. Got your money hidden from the IRS effectively? What money? Number 17 is The Unbreakable Boy. That's a inspirational movie from Zachary Levi. Number 17, October 8th. Wait a minute. October 8th? What the heck is this? Oh, this is a documentary. October 8th unpacks the explosion of anti-Semitism on college campuses, on social media, and the streets of America in the aftermath of a Hamas-led attack on October 7th, 2023. The film examines the forces that led to a dystopian moment where Hamas is celebrated as freedom fighters rather than as terrorists at the most elite universities in America. Well, the problem is they're still doing it. And the problem is, the main problem is communism. It's, you know, they just happen to latch on to this particular fight. They're not going to give it up, by the way. They may switch gears into another fight that's a little more palatable to the forces that be, but you know, I hope this crushes the Marxists on college campuses, but I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure I agree with the way they're going about it, but it is bad. It needs to be addressed. So they're at least addressing it, so one could say that. But they need to address the communism. Jesse, remember when I mentioned Trinidadian soca? Trinidadian soca? Try listening to Squeezy Rankin Justice. Try listening to Squeezy Rankin Justice. Okay. Jesse, it's about Mommy Good Boy. He used to cause trouble in the community. I'm not sure what you're talking about, Jesse, but I will check it out later. After October 8th is some sort of documentary about stuff that I got to be careful of discussing on YouTube. Sam Rogers, goodbye everyone. Time to start my day. Have a good day, Sam. Thanks for checking in. You're getting out at a good time if this chat goes sideways about October 8th. Yeah, it's just like a documentary trying to pick apart why everybody lost their damn minds. But again, it's the kind of stuff that has been encouraged on university campuses for a long time now in America. Basically, socialism, communism, Marxism, whatever you want to call it, that's what's being encouraged. And so by just addressing the anti-Semitism is kind of downstream from that. and you should address it, but by not addressing the fact that you have these professors radicalizing young minds means that it's not going away. It's just going to change gears into something else. They'll just jump on the next bandwagon, whatever that is. For now, it's about that. Heart Eyes is number 18. That's that slasher movie. It's kind of like a Valentine's Day slasher movie. Then Moana 2. All these movies are hopefully going out of the theaters. Becoming Led Zeppelin, the documentary, in its 6th week, 160K. Complete Unknown, 139K, in its 12th week. Sonic the Hedgehog 3, still in theaters, 78K. Ephus, in its 2nd week, going in the opposite direction as it gets more of a release in theaters. So they're trying to bring that back up. The Brutalist, still in theaters, 47K in its 13th week somehow. On Becoming a Guinea Fowl, no idea. What the heck is that? In its 2nd week. Putting it into more theaters. This sounds like a foreign movie. On an empty road in the middle of the night, Shula stumbles across the body of her uncle. As funeral proceedings begin around them, she and her cousins bring to light the buried secrets of their middle-class Zambian family. It's a weird name for a movie. The Actor premiered in 23 theaters. The Actor finds Paul Cole stranded in a mysterious small town with no memory of who he is or how he got there. I hate that opening. I always hate it. Without a sense of identity or purpose, he starts from scratch and begins courting a local costume designer, Eden. As bits and pieces of his past slowly emerge, he attempts to find his way home, but time is slippery, appearances can't be trusted, and it's unclear which of his identities is real. Yeah, I'm out. I am completely out. No thank you. Not interested. And finally, Brothers After War made $1,270. In its 3rd week, it dropped 90%. Oofa. That is not good. Jesse, sorry I used Trinidadian English, but the song Justice is about a mother's son who was a criminal and her failing to hold her son accountable for his crime. Oh, that sounds interesting. Ardent, LOL sent you a pic of Seagal as Chiunk on Twitter, X-Twitter. Gonna post it too. All right. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, here's some stuff I need to retweet. I'll be on the Dirt Baggery live chat on Friday. So let me retweet that using my picture. All right, and then this person followed me. I may follow you later. All right, you got it in. And he sent a photo, and there it is. There it is, Steven Seagal. It looks pretty close. That's pretty close. Okay. I think it could work. You'll notice all the ridiculous amount of bots in my messages. God, all I get is like bot messages. Ardent, Brothers After War probably wasn't helped by being released by SDG releasing. Yeah, what was Brothers After War? I don't even remember. Oh, this was like I think this was like a documentary about war or whatever. Yeah, all right. So what's that leave us with? 50 million? A little over 50 million for the weekend. That's not good. It's not good at all. Not good at all. So Novocaine looked good. I haven't heard anything about it, but it looked halfway decent. Looks just like a stupid action movie. But at this point, that would be head and shoulders above most of this list. You know, And the thing is, the bar keeps going up, right? I mean, if you got access to streaming, why are you going to pay $14 to see one of these movies? You know, I can't think of too many movies on this list I'd pay that money for. I wouldn't mind seeing a Nora. I didn't mind pay. I think we paid for a Nora. I don't think it was free, but we saw it on streaming. I think we paid $20 to rent it because it was new, which isn't bad for two people. Novocaine, I probably wouldn't go into theaters. Maybe a matinee. $20 split between two people, that would be fine. Or a group to see Novocaine. Mickey 17, that's one you wait. You wait for that one if you want to see it at all. Black Bag, I don't even want to see that. Captain America, not going to see that. The Day the Earth Blew Up, I can see that on Max for nothing, so I'll just wait. The rest of the stuff, maybe the Led Zeppelin documentary, but that I would totally wait. Totally wait. So, there's nothing here you need to see. You know, even if you like Stephen King, you want to go see The Monkey, how long do you think that'll be before it's on streaming? It'll be on streaming in like less than a month, I would guess. You know? So, it's just not, there's nothing in the theater experience that's worth a damn anymore. You know? It's just bad. Until some of these theaters start to say, we got to make the experience better for people, we got to do something different, they're screwed. And they're going to need the cooperations of the studios. You know? Like, one thing they could do is you could start, and you'd have to have money to do this, but you start a theater chain, and you start by showing just really good movies. Like, not new movies, just really good movies. And then you have good food, maybe you have drinks. You turn it into an experience. Like, it kind of doesn't matter what movie's playing. You know that the theater is picking only good quality movies. Like, that could be a thing that would get people coming week after week, I think. Especially if it had good food and drinks. Indie Phantom. Yeah, lately I've been watching some early 2000 DTV action. Was a great one with Danny Trejo and Jonathan Banks called Bullet. Was produced by Rodriguez when he wasn't crowdfunding. Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff there. And that's the thing. You could get at movies. If you started a theater chain like that, where the idea was only quality movies, you could eventually get a movie like the one you just mentioned, right? Like, maybe that didn't get, I don't even remember Bullet, but it didn't get big word of, you know, it didn't get a lot of word of mouth, it didn't get a big distribution, but it's generally considered a good film and people like it, so you could just run it. You know, I used to go to in Philly, and they still have it, it's called Secret Cinema. So there's this film archivist, and he does this event called Secret Cinema at various places around Philly. And then he shows very obscure movies that are, a lot of them are Philly-based. Stuff you've never seen, like stuff that's not on YouTube or anything. It's, you know, like he'll show, well, like the last one I went to, he showed all the racist Looney Tunes. he has copies of every racist Looney Tunes, like the really racist ones, and there's a bunch of them, and he has a whole night of that. And then he puts out a little pamphlet to give you some of the context of what they maybe were intending. But he shows like there's a few obscure horror movies that, you know, they just fell by the wayside, and they were shot in Philadelphia, and we'll show them. And one night he showed like industrial movies that were shot locally in Philadelphia, but they were very, very dated, so they were amusing in a sort of an ironic way. So like weird local films that, you know, that only archivists are going to be able to find. Like, that kind of stuff could be cool in a movie theater type setting for people who like movies. maybe not that drilled down, but some of the cool stuff. You could do something different if you change the change the way you thought about the movie theater, and it wasn't about new movies. But you would need, I would think, a lot of money to make it work. You would need to make the restaurant part of it the bulk of your profit, and you'd really have to have a location that was close enough to hipsters that they would come, but far enough in the sticks that you wouldn't get killed on the rent or the taxes. Indie Phantom, as you say, Tony, why pay for these theatrically? You can either wait to stream or watch the older, often superior alternative. Yeah. Jesse, I wouldn't mind watching Pirates of the Caribbean on the big screen. I was too young when some of those were released. You know what? King Kong 2005 would be awesome to watch in IMAX with those rumble seats and like. Indie Phantom, yeah, there was a lot of decent B-movie stuff made for video rental markets that people might have missed, especially from the late 90s throughout to about 2015. Tubi has like 70% of that stuff. Yeah, I like Tubi a lot. It's pretty good. They've got some original movie that came out, and I looked at the trailer. It looked pretty good. I think they'll do well in the long term. They do very meat and potatoes kind of movies when they finance one, and they may not be good, but I can't imagine they're unwatchable, right? So if you see like a basic revenge plot and it's not great, but you get the revenge at the end, I don't think you're going to hate the movie. You know what I mean? So it'll be mostly fan service, but there's just no fan service coming out of Hollywood. They're too busy with their damn message. I mean, Mickey 17 sounds like it got ruined by the message, by inserting a bunch of politics in it so Mark Ruffalo could pretend he's Trump. It's like, how many more celebrities are you going to let pretend to be Trump? Oh, I'll pretend to be Trump. I'll show him. Indie Phantom, I think movies at home just trumps any alternative. I can sit on my couch like a fatty and eat a glorious pizza with too much pepperoni that I reheated myself. It is true. It is true. That's why they got to really work on something. They got to work on the theater experience to make it at least competitive with you sitting at home. I think if they had really good food and drink, people would come out. They're just looking for stuff to do. All right, let's get into the trades. Here's Novocaine, number 1 in sluggish weekend. Well, that's kind of faint praise for Jack Quaid. But I think it looked good. I think it looks like a pretty... it's something I would like, but... let's see. Sammo Hung keeps action real while Hollywood follows. I'm preserving the JC, Jackie Chan style, not CG. Huh. Well, that sounds good. A positive article in Variety. Look at that. Indie Phantom, another side recommendation. Stalking Laura from 1993 with Richard Thomas. Yes, John Boy becomes crazy, obsessed with Brooke Shields. Indie Phantom, Shields goes like literally postal on everyone. So John Boy is the crazy one, but then Brooke Shields goes crazy. Interesting. Let's see. Ted Lasso's coming back, if anybody cares about that show. Jenna Ortega is complaining that her first job was on Iron Man 3, but she got cut from it. Mostly, her lines got cut. Oh well. Welcome to Hollywood, Jenna. Sean Diddy Combs pleads not guilty to new criminal indictment. I don't know which one this is. This guy's been indicted on everything. Just about. Indie Phantom. No, John Boy goes postal. Oh, okay. That makes more sense. It was made for TV, but damn good, says Indie Phantom. I just thought of a good idea for a stalker movie. Okay, here's my pitch. You do a stalker movie, right? So this dude, like John Boy, is stalking this hot chick, but then it turns out she's crazy too. And they're both insane. And then they're both trying to kill each other. That would be pretty cool. That'd be a big twist, right? So the first act, you think, oh, it's a stalker movie. Yeah, it's a stalker. But then it turns out she's messed up too. But like in a different way. She's not obsessed with him, but she's just totally screwed up. And then they both try to kill each other. I think that could work. That'd be a big twist. And then everybody around them keep dying. What else? Chris Pratt says he plays a sliding doors version of the same character when making big commercial movies. I'm realizing that there are similarities. Well, look, when you play the lead, leading men roles are often very similar because leading men don't really do much a lot of times. Now, in the case of Star-Lord, that's a little different because you were in an ensemble cast, although you're kind of lead, but it's more of an ensemble cast. But the main, deal with a leading man is he just has to be handsome and save the day, right? So often they don't get to do anything too cool, really, with the exception of James Bond when James Bond was cool. So, I mean, yeah, you're just there to look handsome, Chris. Indie Phantom, I like the pitch, Tony. Blind Obsession. That's a good name for it. Oh, yeah. And then what would be the ending? Maybe they both kill each other at the end. And the cops are left trying to figure it out. Indie Phantom, oh yeah, The Electric State hit Netflix. Yeah, it's not getting great reviews on, Rotten Tomatoes, but I don't trust Rotten Tomatoes. It is the Russo brothers, so I still kind of want to check it out, but I haven't heard a good word about it yet. LeMay, the Zinzians' death cult was partially inspired by a Harry Potter fanfic. I told you, fan fiction is poison. Okay? Fanfic is poison. No one over the age of 18 should be writing it or reading it. It's just for kids to practice. Fanfic, no bueno. Indie Phantom. That is the Pratt vehicle. Alex Ogle. Hello, Alex. Good to hear from you. Evening, hate speakers. Tony, regarding my Pineyator pitch from your birthday stream, I hope it ended well, by the way, I think I have an acceptable way for you to store the Sydney Sweeney clones. Alex Ogle, in their bikinis, after they have taken care of the Terminator Predator menace, firstly, all of the clones made, only 10 survive for you to round up. Then you have an underground cryogenic lab in which you keep the Jersey Devil and other monsters where you can store the Sweeney clones. Plot twist, you only have 9 chambers free, so you have to keep one, but the only clothing you have for her, apart from the bikini, is a skimpy French maid outfit. How's that? That's a pretty good pitch, I gotta say. Okay. Yeah, let me see a draft. Indie Phantom, heard some slightly positive takes from YouTube, but mostly everyone obsessed with the crazy budget for Electric State. Well, I could see it for free, so that's a low bar. I might watch it. Check it out. Zebek's Demise, nobody tell Tony about the Pineys fan fiction site. Hey, shut it down immediately. Ardent at Alex Ogle. That's hate preacher to you. Yeah, can you imagine fanfic of the Pineys and all the characters having sex with one another? You're not supposed to do that. I'm the only one that can make them have sex with each other. Wait a minute. No, it gets weird. It just gets weird. They just go down a rabbit hole and never come back. And I'll say this, a lot of the fanfic is written by women. It's twisted, man. It's twisted stuff. Get out of the fanfic. Alex Ogle, the Jersey Devil shipped with Little Joan? Oh, dear God, no. Joan, they're talking about you. Oh, God, this White Lotus show. Does anybody watch this? White Lotus star Amy Lou Wood pitched Mike White an American accent for her character, but stuck with my Manchester one, adds no Americans have my teeth. Does anybody watch that show? I don't understand. Keep talking about it in Variety. Jesus. Ardent. That's slash fic, not fanfic. Ooh. That sounds worse. Lady Gaga's Mayhem launches #1 as her biggest debut on streaming yet. What is that? Is that a concert? Is it an album? I don't even know anymore. It's just they launch things. Not interested. Joe Russo says Harvey Weinstein vilified mainstream movies and kept blockbusters from winning major awards. Popular films were winning Oscars before the mid-90s. I guess. I mean, does that matter now? Does that even matter now? Weinstein's in jail. The industry's falling to pieces. Movie theaters are closing left and right, and this is what you're focused on? Please make good movies. LeMay, it was a 600,000 word piece of fan fiction titled Harry Potter and the Methods of Rationality. Really? I hope you haven't read that, LeMay. Sam Rogers, I'm back. Guess who's back? Back again. Alex at LeMay, I would read Harry Potter and the course on Michael Oakeshott's Rationalism in Politics. Ardent, Russo may have a point. Dances with Wolves won a lot of Oscars. Indie Phantom, Titanic won when Weinstein was king. Ardent, and yeah, that's the most popular movie ever. Ardent, neither Weinstein nor the Oscars are relevant anyway. Yeah, that's true too. Who cares? As sequels like Captain America and Paddington fall short and original films like Black Bag and Mickey 17 struggles, when will box office rebound? How about when you make something watchable? Sam Rogers, I would rather no movies than bad movies. Yeah. Ardent at Alex Ogle, LOL, I'd read Harry Potter and the Sword of Godric Gryffindor doesn't belong in Oakeshott's typology. Yeah, box office will rebound. Well, it ain't going to rebound with Snow White, I'll tell you that. But give it another month. Another month, maybe. We're in mid-April. It'll start to kind of rebound. And then really not until June. But slowly, very slowly. But it's like a, the casino. It's, this is the way you win in the casino. You win a little bit, and then you lose, and then you win, but not as much as before, and then you lose, and then you win, but not as much as before, and you lose. That's kind of where audiences are going right now. Alex, at Arden, you can be a hate preacher, but will they understand your bizarre Newfie accent? Arden at Alex Ogle, it'll be fine. I'll just get louder and louder until they either understand or run away. All right. Now let's check in with Fandom Pulse. Chess.com proposes changing the name of the Bishop piece in an attempt to remove Christian roots from the game. Well, I don't know. Fandom Pulse is hyper focused on Christianity being attacked. And on some level, I can't blame them because there have been a lot of attacks against Christianity of late. But I think this is more just woke posturing. But yeah, I mean, it's stupid. Jeremy over at The Quartering had a video on this. All right, here we go. White People Diversity Award, Tor Books Degeneracy, Chinese buying Ubisoft, Fandom Pulse weekend briefing. Okay. Alex Ogle at Ardent, your best rugby referee's voice. Ardent, only if we change it to the whining liberal. LeMay, Disney already moved on with the Lilo and Stitch live action movie. Some of the Disney fans are hopeful of that film. I don't know why. It looks, it looks unnecessary. It just looks so unnecessary. I said in my trailer analysis, like, I think they did a sequel to Lilo and Stitch, the animated thing, right? Like, the next move to me, if you're going to do a live action thing, would have been to make the next sequel and then do that as live action. Because at least you'd have a reason to see it if you already... And it could just be a rehash of the first two movies or however many they made. I don't even know. But to just remake it, it just seems so... boring. All right. Tor epic fantasy author Jen Lyons admits her A Chorus of Dragons is woke and says she'll continue to push poly relationships in her books. Okay. Well, there's an audience for it in that world. I think it's too small. If I was Tor, I'd be like, yeah, we'll pass on this book, but Tor wants to do it. Oh, no, Mark Wade's back. Mark Wade joins mostly white judges of Dwayne McDuffie Award for diversity and rants about an onslaught of bigotry and intolerance. Poor Mark Wade. I don't know what happened to him. Seemed like such a normal guy back in the 90s. And now I just see him and go, ugh, no, Mark Wade. I mean, I can only imagine seeing him at a comic book convention now, and I'd just be like, oh no, Mark Wade's coming. Somebody hide me so hopefully he doesn't recognize me. I don't think he would remember me, but God, so weird how some people just lost their damn minds to the woke mind virus, in my opinion. 5 boomer shooters you must buy during Steam's spring sale. Well, one of them appears to be Doom, I'm going to guess. Let's see. Turbo Overkill. Never heard of that one. Warhammer 40k Bolt Gun. Forgive Me Father 2. Mullet Mad Jack. Sounds like a knockoff of Duke Nukem. And Proteus. Alright. I guess. I never heard of any of those games. JC, Wade was always like that. I don't know. He didn't seem that way when I met him, but I didn't really get into politics with him. Alex Ogle, haha. Iman to King's Rook 3 and go boom. Could be a good way of clearing several squares around the piece for sacrifice. Ardent Duke Nukem? LOL. Yeah, he had a mullet, didn't he? Reports indicate Chinese firm Tencent is bidding for control of Ubisoft and properties like Assassin's Creed. This is what the Chinese communists wanted. I think this is going to be the beginning of the trend. They're going to try. They ruined Hollywood. I believe behind the scenes, the machinations are ruin Hollywood, ruin everything, and then when it collapses, come in and buy the companies for a song, buy the IPs. And then they could just make them cool again. What do they care? They're communist. They don't, You could go back and make an Assassin's Creed in the past. It won't have any communism in it, but I mean, you could sneak in some communist messaging, I guess. But the whole point would be just to they can't criticize China because they own it. Ardent, great minds. Bolt Gun is just a reskin of the old Doom game. Zevic's Demise, I have the mullet game on my wish list. Oh. Ardent, what cope is Amazon pushing over Reacher's rating? I don't know, but I haven't heard anything about Reacher Season 3 other than what you said. And now I'm completely, I'm not rushing to go see it. So, yeah, just kind of, oh wait, here it is. You were reading the screen. Prime Video Reacher ratings show action movies are making a comeback. Okay, so maybe it did okay. Clint Miller's here. Sorry I'm late. Yes, Ardent. I'm still alive. Men's fiction still exists and sells like crazy, just not in bookstores in these categories on Amazon. Oh, I got to get one of these categories. Is there a men's fiction category? Maybe I ought to start posting in that. Space Marine science fiction. Well, it's going to be tough to do a Space Marines Pineys story, but let me think about it. Dungeon Crawler Carl Book 8. Okay. Warlock. Hey, it's a nice cover. And then John Delarose pushing his RPG. Ardent at Clint Miller. It's a St. Patty's Day miracle. Boy, you must be drunk. Ardent, LOL, Space Marine Pineys. Indie Phantom, would be great to see big action comeback. Yeah. Well, and that's it. That's it for Fandom Pulse. Going over to the Hollywood Reporter. Novocaine tops year's slowest box office weekend as offerings numb audiences. That's a pretty good assessment. Ardent, so what are the categories besides Space Marine? Oh, yeah, it just seems to be Space Marine. Military science fiction. Lit RPG. I hate that term so much. Dungeon crawlers stuff. Harem romances. I wouldn't put that in the men's category. Fantasy adventure fiction. I don't know. I think they need a literal men's fiction category. Clint Miller, we need a Pineys fan site, Tony. Thanks for the extra Easter eggs in book 17. Great tale. Thank you, Clint. I would rather have a Pineys wiki site. I really need a Pineys wiki site. I gotta keep track of some things. It's getting out of hand between the folklore and the all the relatives I've created. JC, I tried to read JDA's Dragon Eye book, but it was weird because it was a fantasy setting, but then he kept injecting Catholic stuff into it. It was distracting. Well, yeah, I don't know how you inject the Catholic stuff into D&D without getting blasphemous, or completely depowering the clerics. Ardent, or is that just an ad? Fantasy harem romance? Ew. Yeah, I don't think that appeals to men at all. Some of the people I was ghostwriting for claimed that was a men's category and that was something they're interested in. I said they're not interested in that unless they can see the girls in the book you're pushing. They're not interested in that. And then you'd basically be selling them, porn. So, I don't think that's a thing. Ardent at JEC, sounds like he was trying to be C.S. Lewis. Maybe. Snow White, first reactions, praise remake. A big surprise. Rachel Zegler stuns. Man, that sounds like cope and a half. Holy cow. Yeah, that's not gonna. It doesn't matter. It could be good. Imagine it's good, right? And it's just gonna bomb anyway. That would be almost worse. Clint Miller. When is eunuch? When is eunuch not a eunuch? When's a eunuch not a eunuch? When's a eunuch not a eunuch? I don't know. JC, I think he said it wasn't actually a fantasy world. It was a future sci-fi world that looked like a fantasy world, and the colonizers brought the Catholic religion over with them. Seems like a stretch. Nah. I mean, maybe if you went down the road of like Thundar the Barbarian and then threw in some Catholic stuff. But seems like that would kind of slow you down. But I don't know. If I was going to do an RPG and I was going to jam it full of Catholic stuff, I would probably want to be historical based, maybe set it in the late Roman Empire or something like that. That's when Catholicism was kind of badass. Like right in that period where there's like, you know, they're taking out the pagans and it's a real fight. Like that would be a good RPG. There's a story about it's some place in Rome where a bunch of Christians were in a, for lack of a better term, a basement sort of church, and a Roman centurion jumped through the skylight, landed on the altar, and raised his sword, and the priest said, "Spare my flock, take me instead." And the centurion beheaded the priest, and spared the rest of the congregation. Like, those kinds of stories, pretty epic. If you could work that into an RPG, maybe. I think you'd have to make it so you'd have to have a lot of character sheets ready. Oh, I martyred myself. Great! Alright, let me roll up a new guy. LeMay, fantasy harem romance in light novels. There are illustrations in those books. One guy and a bunch of girls. JC, yeah, it took me out of the book. Alex Ogle, given that the tried and failed method of berating fans as bigots for not watching the latest crap isn't working, e.g. Snow White, what do you think of the next trick will be instead of good writing? That's an excellent question. If they do not go for good writing, and they cannot they kind of can't blame Trump, although they could try to. That's a big stretch. And maybe that's what they'll do. They'll try to make themselves the victim. That the reason people aren't seeing their movies is because the atmosphere is so hateful, and they blame Trump for that, and that's why their movies are failing. Something like that. Zebek's Demise, RPG, The Spanish Inquisition. There you go. Well, that'll be super problematic, though. But you could sell that to the wokies. It's probably very anti-Semitic. JC, I was thinking you should write a book that's just about the Jersey Devil, like the Chronicles, all the lore to go with your Jersey Devil talks. Yeah, it's kind of already been done. It's not a bad idea, though. But the book I really want to write is I want to write a guide to the Pine Barrens and all the strange places and crazy, things that I wrote about, but just the historical background on it and all that good stuff. But that requires a lot of research, which I want to do, but right now I'm in my mode of writing the books and making money and just surviving. I got to get to the point where I'm making enough money that I have more time and I'm not just surviving. So that's in the works, but Yeah, it's not happening anytime soon. Ardent Christians and catacombs. Cleric class becomes priest. Barbarian becomes pagan. Paladin remains. It's not bad. Or you change the paladin to Knights Templar. JC, yeah, but it's done. But you'll be there selling it. You've already doing the talks. That's true. That's true. I actually met in one of my events the son of one of the authors of the original Jersey Devil book. The original authors are dead now. And he was very nice. He gave me a book. Do I have it here? No. He gave me a book and a shirt. Oh, it was the latest version of the Jersey Devil book. Yeah, I had to come up with a new angle. If I'm going to do the Jersey Devil, I'd have to be a new angle. Maybe what I would focus on is the more recent sightings. They had done a book, JC, Jersey Devil and Other Tales from the Pines. Yeah, something like that. What I would probably focus on is some of the later sightings of the Jersey Devil. They had written the two authors had written a book in '96 chronicling every appearance of the Jersey Devil up until 1996. So what I could do is kind of focus on the appearances after that, and things like and let me see if I show you a picture if I can find it. Horse head bat. This is I spelled it wrong. Horse head bat. So this is the horsehead bat. See, this basically is the Jersey Devil without any horns. And it's massive for a bat. I mean, you can see how big it is. I think the wingspan's about 6 feet. But that's crazy, crazy big bat. And if you saw this thing at night in the Pine Barrens, oh yeah, you'd believe in the Jersey Devil, 100%. When I saw this, I was like, holy crap, that's it. That's the Jersey Devil right there. Now, a lot of people have speculated, oh, maybe it came in on a boat and ended up in the Pine Barrens. It would never survive a winter. It's from Africa. So the only reason, they get to that size is because it's so, the temperature and all the abundant food, In the Pine Barrens, a thing like that would never survive a winter. JC, make it a big grab bag of local lore, but put Jersey Devil in the title on the cover to sell it. It's not a bad idea. Ardent, he's cute. I want one. I don't think you want one. I'm not sure what he eats. Oh, he's a fruit guy. Oh, maybe. They're a type of megabat, just like flying foxes. I don't know if you could train this guy. They are considered frugivorous, which means their diet mainly consists of fruit. That paired with loud honking sounds they make has caused many people to consider them pests. Aw. It's kind of cool. Yeah, see, they're only native to West and Central Africa. It'd be dead in 24 hours where you live, Ardent. Up in the frozen wastelands. Ardent, I would prefer a flying fox, though. Predators, hawks, and other large birds of prey. Yeah, so that's I don't think it would survive. It seems to be a very gentle beast. But anyhow, Ardent, yeah, bats that size are usually fruit bats. Train is a bit flexible. Teach to come when called. If you feed one is one thing. Yeah, I don't think you'd be able to get it stop pooping everywhere. That's for sure. How Gene and Betsy Hackman's dog died revealed in the new report. Surprise, surprise! It died of starvation and dehydration because it was trapped in a cage. I think we all knew that. That's the same way, unfortunately, Gene Hackman died. Because he was too out of it to be able to feed himself or call for help. It's a shame. And now nobody knows who's going to get Hackman's estate. Because, he was 30 years older than his wife, so he left everything to her. By all accounts, she was taking great care of Hackman, but she died first. And then he dies, so who gets the money? Hopefully not the state of California. So now the kids have hired lawyers, and it's going to be a big mess, it sounds like. That's a shame. I'm sure he wouldn't want that if he was around and coherent. Ardent, tragic. Yeah, it's a good thing Bruce Willis has family to take care of him. I mean, he's unfortunately in a similar situation. But Ardent, there's 3 kids, yep. But Bruce Willis seems to be taken care of well. It seems. It's hard to tell. I mean, obviously we don't really know, but seems, every once in a while we see pictures of him. He seems fit enough. Poor guy. What else? Kanye West drops new song seemingly featuring Diddy and daughter North. Yeah, I don't think we need to hear from Kanye anymore, or Diddy, really. So, I don't know why he's bothering at this point. Ardent, hopefully he's treated better than Stan Lee was. Yeah, that's another one. Now, the documentary about him's coming out. They're trying to raise the money to finish it. Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot premiere Snow White in high spirits amid controversies. Sure they do. Sure they do. Bill Maher doesn't like that prostitutes are referred to as the sex worker community. Yeah, I could agree with that. My ex-boss. Sure. Yeah, because they say OnlyFans girls are sex workers. They're kind of, but that's like, they're not having sex with clients. So, usually, although some of them are, look, you should just legalize prostitution. Just get it over with. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Maybe not with the more trad people coming up, but they probably should just legalize it. Otherwise, you're gonna have organized crime. A lot of their money's made on prostitution. A lot of it. You legalize it, and that dries up immediately. It dries up like that. There won't be a single made guy doing prostitution because there won't be any money in it. The prices will plummet. They don't want to do. Nobody's going to want to do the legwork to whatever they're doing in Nevada where it's legal. And that's it. It'll be gone. It'll be gone from the organized crimes repertoire. That, and you got to get rid of the drug war. You do those two things, organized crime will go back to petty theft. Because they'll have nothing. They'll have no steady income streams. Ardent, Mar is mad because sex workers charge more. Indie Phantom, high spirits means Disney execs are getting wasted. Maybe. God, imagine being in charge of Snow White as an executive. Oh, I'd be so friggin' wasted. Indie Phantom, high spirits. Oh, I read that one. Ardent, legalization also allows taxation, regulation, prevents trafficking. Yeah, I think it would. JEC, you'll still have pimps running hoes. You would, but you'd be able to monitor them. And they could get in a lot of trouble. The girls could turn them in. It would take a while before they'd get to that point, but yeah. You could inspect brothels. And you could make pimping illegal, essentially. Sam Rogers, has the documentary about Stan Lee come out yet? I don't think it's out yet. I heard there was one they're still trying to get the financing for. They're raising it. And another, I think there's another one, but I'm not sure. Because they talked about one in Variety, and I don't think that was the one they're raising the money for. But the one I'm thinking of was made by Stan Lee's assistant. It was his personal assistant at the end, and he saw a lot of stuff. And he was filming towards the end, which I don't know if I like that. I mean, was he filming towards the end anticipating that he'd be able to make sweet bank after he died? Maybe. Speaking of executives, Marvel Comics editor defends continued opposition to Spider-Man and Mary Jane's marriage. You seriously think that if there was an easy way to make sales skyrocket, I wouldn't do it? Oh, thanks, dummy. That is a dumb take. Sorry. Ardent, are you talking about Stan Lee, the final chapter? Yes. Yes, I believe I am. It's the one that's made by his assistant, the guy with the long hair. Oh, there's a trailer for it. Here we go. Ardent has linked the trailer, everybody, if you want to say it. But getting back to important things, Spider-Man. The problem with Spider-Man is not that he isn't married. JC, sounds like an accomplice playing like he was against it the whole time. Yeah, I don't know what to make of it, but maybe it's good he filmed. Maybe that wasn't his original intent. Maybe Stan wanted him to film it and he was okay with it. I don't know. Indie Phantom. That is the most beta-looking Spider-Man since Tom Holland. Yeah. Alex Ogle. Is there a comedy sketch we can write about someone turning up to a convention for pimps running hose, but actually attends a firefighters convention to pump running hoses? I don't think it works. I think that's too meta. Alex Ogle, similar language premise as the Two Ronnies sketch, Four Candles. Ardent, I can shoot you the Kickstarter link as well. Oh, okay. So if you're interested in helping fund the Kickstarter for that documentary. But as far as Spider-Man goes, the problem is not that they're not married or that they're married. The problem is that Peter Parker is not back where he belongs. Peter Parker should not be married to Mary Jane. Mary Jane shouldn't know who he is. They've painted themselves into a corner and thereby kind of ruined the character. The dynamic you need in a character like Spider-Man, just like Clark Kent, is he doesn't get the girl ever. He pines for the girl all the time, pining, but he never quite gets the girl. Because that's the paradigm. The paradigm is the guy who's the superhero in his real life never matches up. He's struggling to win the girl, and you want him to win the girl. But secretly, he's a superhero. And in his superhero guise, the girl loves him. Oh, she's head over heels with Spider-Man or Superman. But she can never know his true identity. And that's the dynamic you want to maintain. And if you don't maintain it, well, you get this eventually. Because eventually, you have to age the character if you move forward. Indie Phantom, I've grown to hate all superheroes. Was never a huge fan, but I blame Hollywood. Well, there's a lot of blame there. Ardent, yeah, it's difficult with characters like Spidey and Supes. You either stagnate them, for lack of a better term, or give them a realistic life journey and pass the mantles along. Storebang is here. 4 candles. Thank God. Thank God you said 4 candles. I was waiting for somebody to send it. Ardent. Oh, 4 candles. Indie Phantom. Yeah, they broke the mold. They broke the mode a la moonlighting. Yes, they did. Ardent. Laughing. JC, even Ditko had him aging from high school to college. Eventually, he needs to get married and have kids. You can, but then he has to die. And I don't think anybody is going to kill off Spider-Man. They're just not going to kill him off. if you start him from 19, when did they premiere? In the 60s. All right. He was in high school. Let's say he was 15 in 1960. That means he was born in like 45. He'd be in his 80s. He'd be 80. Nobody wants to read about 80-year-old Spider-Man. It would be cool. You could do son of Spider-Man or daughter of Spider-Man, and then you could do grandson of granddaughter of Spider-Man. But then what? Like, it gets complicated. The character gets all full of baggage. It's supposed to be iconic. It's supposed to be simple. I say, lock him in. You know, it was different when Ditko and Stan Lee created him. That was a time, you know, comics were the kind of their own thing, and they were doing good work. And you could imagine a creative force like Ditko and Lee creating other stuff too. Now they're gone, so, and this is just a corporation, so they're not interested in replacing Spider-Man. They're interested in propping him up, I say. So if you got to prop him up, you got to stagnate him, like the Simpsons. Simpsons are stagnated. They're stuck in that house. They're all the same age. They never grow up. People are fine with that. Alex Ogle, perhaps this is the ultimate hero's arc. Spider-Man was a great crime fighter, became gay, then black, then a beta, then will ultimately return to the great roots, having grown as a man. No, I think you should just hit the reset button and leave him there forever. Or, and you can always do a fantasy story. That's what kills me about Marvel and DC. They used to do that all the time. So you could do a fantasy story in which you show Peter Parker at 80 and his whole family and all everybody who and how it all happened. And you could map that all out in one big issue. It'd be great. People would buy it. And you could call it a fantasy story. You could do it 6 issues, or you could do one big graphic novel and end the whole story. And then continue it with essentially a younger kid in the modern day. But they're so weird at Marvel. They're just so weird. They're full of wokies. They all need to be fired before any of that. They need to be fired. First, you have to fire them all. That's the big thing. Half of them are gonna sue and scream and cry and whatever. Then you have to start the arduous process of restarting the whole damn company, assuming there's any money to do that, or if Disney has any interest in doing that, and they probably don't. So you could probably just, kiss all the comic book stores goodbye. But they probably have a slight interest at DC. But anyhow, you got to hire a bunch of new guys, and you got to give them incentive to create, or it's pointless. Store Bang, let's go. It's a dang horror house, not a whorehouse. Alex Ogle, at Store Bang. That's the sketch. At Store Bang from Alex Ogle. Doesn't work with the English accent, though. JC, the audience buying the book are all middle-aged now. Let him reflect his audience's experience. They do want to replace him. The copyright is coming up. Yeah, but you could still do it. See, here's the thing. The copyright's coming up, okay? Everybody else is going to start doing Spider-Man, whatever. You could continue to do Marvel Spider-Man because you're Marvel Comics, and people will buy yours first before they buy any knockoffs. They will. Let the other guys do Spider-Man Horror Story, or Spider-Man Drops Dead, or Spider-Man Becomes Gay. Let all the other guys do that. You do the regular Spider-Man, and people will keep coming back. But it's got to have some quality control, or forget it. Indie Phantom, I have never met a superhero and therefore can't relate. I think James Gunn and Fantastic Four will kill the genre for a while. That may very well be true because the Fantastic Four doesn't look good at all to me. I can't stand Pedro Pascal. I wish they'd stop putting him in stuff. The rest of the cast, it looks like it's going to be a Sue Storm girl boss Fantastic Four anyway. On top of the fact they're ruining the Silver Surfer by keeping him out of it, so no thank you. JC, probably with The Simpsons, is their 90s characters. The further you get away from the 90s, the less they work. Well, yeah, I mean, they're so far down the road, too. It's probably just time to end The Simpsons at this point. But they were... The idea behind The Simpsons, and you could see it from the creation, and I'm not saying I know anything, but this is how I see it. They were created to be iconic everything. Every character is an icon from America, essentially. And when things started to go woke, that's when they ruined it because the characters ceased to be iconic. At that point, it started to be about, modern problems. And you can't do iconic stuff that's brand new because icons are, you kind of have some distance to know that this is iconic, right? Something that's brand new that might be a trend, you can say it's iconic, but 5 years from now, you don't know that. You gotta wait a little bit of time, and that's kind of what happened to The Simpsons. They mostly did very iconic storylines too. But yeah, I mean they're just done. They just eventually these things just run their course, and they should probably end. But when it comes to studios and corporations, they want to squeeze every last dollar out before they finally hang it up. And you can make an argument, well, they're just making their money or whatever. But my argument would be this. If you end it on a positive note. You still have a vast library that people have a positive view of, and you can remarket that and still make lots of money. You can still kind of do that, but if you put a bad taste in everyone's mouth at the end, then you got to wait a long time before the fans rediscover it. And then those fans got to be like, I don't know, 20 years from now, and then they rediscover it on their own, and then you have to wait for that to happen. You can't make that happen on your own. If you end the series and you have this great library and it ends on this great positive note, then I think you can do more marketing with it. Just my opinion, but with Spider-Man though, they're not going to do that. So the next best thing you could do is you can keep him, just like one of the best Batman comics in my opinion was the Batman animated series comic. And if you look at the Batman animated series, what it does is it gives you the illusion of progression. He's not really aging. He's not really progressing in his life, but it gives you the illusion he is. Because everything's a breathless step. Each adventure is one breathless step away from the next one. And you just keep going like that. So you could do the same thing with Spider-Man. He doesn't have time for life. He's too busy fighting the Rhino, and then Doc Octopus is right behind him, and then in the rear view is Mysterio, and he's got too much going on. And that's kind of the way the comics were back in the day. It was pretty breathless. You could throw in stuff about his life, but you'd only catch glimpses of it. And yeah, he had problems, and Aunt May almost found out who he was, and MJ, he was supposed to meet MJ finally for a date, and it gets all blown up. You can do that forever if you maintain the intensity and the drama, and then people don't, you go, oh, he was so close, and then you keep reading. Indie Phantom, Archie was safe for a while, but then they got creative. Yeah. Indie Phantom, weird Marvel. Doge needs a side gig. Alex Ogle, comedy pitch. Oh boy, now you're talking my language. Woke up reality show where each week a collection of achingly woke writers from Hollywood turn the most improbable things woke with their writing skills. Episode 1, The Farmer's Almanac. Only if we can put the losers in a catapult and like wing them over the border so they never come back. I don't know which side of the border. I want to say Canada, but I don't want to do that to you guys. Indie Phantom, Pedro Pascal and Giancarlo Esposito must have good agents. They do. I assure you they probably do. Well, they're also A-listers right now, and that's the perception. As long as that perception is there, then they're going to get work. Their agents don't have to do much. It's all about perception in Hollywood and image. If the perception is you're an A-lister, you're an A-lister. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if your movie tanks. It's perception. Right now, Pedro Pascal's in everything. The perception is he is box office, baby. Put him in more. But eventually, that's gonna hit him at some point. At some point, one of these movies got to tank so bad they gotta go, I don't know about this Pedro guy, or some new guy comes in. JC, sketch here. Bunch of trick and treating kids think they're going to a horror house, but it's actually a whorehouse, and half their dads are there, and they all end up traumatized. That doesn't sound very funny, the trauma. I don't know. Might have to work on that one. Alex Ogle at JC, top visual comedy. JC, what season is The Simpsons on? 36? It hasn't been watchable since season 13. I would give it a little more credit than that, but yeah, I mean, once it went to Disney Plus, it was dead. Like I think 2 seasons before that, it was really starting to get bad. JC, Simpsons were supposed to be a parody of the average American family, 2.5 kids, 2 cars, and a garage, but it's all twisted and inverted from typical sitcom dynamic. The dad's dumb, the son's a brat, etc. JC, keep your trash on your side, Tony. Ardent at Indie Phantom, Pascal and Esposito benefited from being associated with massive properties. Yeah. Alex Ogle, you could trebuchet your worst woke writers up here and they'd still be mid-20th century German bigots to the crop up here. Indie Phantom, my perception of Hollywood is it stinks. JC, Disney is big on Pascal. All these roles are Disney movies. That's true. You know, he replaced Dwayne Johnson when you think about it. The Rock was their guy for a long time. Remember, The Rock was just in everything, and it was just inconceivable after a while. After a while, you were just like, why did he keep putting him in things? And then suddenly, nothing. Now, where is he? I haven't seen him in a while. Now he's too big for his britches, and so he's not A-list anymore. He's like B-list. But he made his money. But anyhow, yeah, I say you gotta keep the characters in Spider-Man iconic, keep the infrastructure of Spider-Man, the plot infrastructure of Spider-Man iconic, and then you insert new villains around him, new adventures. You know what? And you could choose whether it's going to be high school Spider-Man or grown-up Spider-Man, but either way, you pick one. You just stick with it. I would probably pick, I guess I would pick Daily Bugle Spider-Man. JC, Rock's back on WWE TV. He bought into the company. He's running it now. Okay. Well, he's got the money. So, I guess. Oh, let me give a shout out to Peter David. Peter David, creator of Spider-Man 2099, co-creator anyway, was dropped by Medicaid, prompting loved ones to launch a new GoFundMe campaign. He's swimming in medical debt. If you were a fan of Peter David, as I am, you could throw him a bone at his GoFundMe campaign. And here it is here. Oh, wow. He's a little more than halfway to his 150K goal. So if you want to help Peter David out, it's a shame. Apparently, what I was reading was he made a ton of money back in the day when one of his novels got optioned for a TV show. And when that happened, his wife divorced him at the time. His wife at the time divorced him, took half his money. He had to spend his half of the money fighting her in court. And long story short, it sounds like he lost all his money. But a lot of times, and this happened to a friend of mine, when you are making crazy amounts of money, but you don't have it, you can't get any kind of medical assistance. Because even though you don't have any money, because it's either all going to your ex-wife or, taxes and debt or whatever, they just tell you, no, you had money, we can't give you any. And so I had a friend who was in that sort of situation. He had been making good money in comics and then got really bad, and he just didn't have any money. It's a shame. So he's got a lot of medical debt. So if you want to help him out, I threw him $5 just because I feel bad for the guy. I was a big fan, and poor guy. So there you go. GoFundMe, help Peter David if you'd like. Where are we now? Okay, deadline. Deborah Roberts says, goodbye to ABC News building after nearly 3 decades. End of an era, moving along. You're getting out at a good time. I can't imagine ABC News lasting much longer. JC, Jesus, some wife. Don't get married. Well, look. It depends on the state you're in. If you're in a no-fault state, you're in trouble. Let me tell you, you're in trouble. Because it don't matter what your spouse does. The judge ain't going to care, and there's nothing he can do about it other than split the money, and you got to hope your spouse doesn't get antsy and waste a bunch of money on lawyers. And unfortunately, what I've heard is a lot of times the lawyers will wind up the wife and feed on her emotions and her anger and keep the ball rolling in the court system, and so they can make more money. But in the case of Peter David, I don't know. He made a bunch of money. I have heard that the similar thing happened to Robin Williams. Now, I think he was married 3 times. I want to say 3 times, at least twice. And both times he got divorced at like the height of his career. And so he owed ridiculous sums of cash to his ex-wives. And the rumor was he had to go on tour just to pay his bills, essentially. And he was in his 70s. And that may have driven him into the depression that eventually, so it's no joke. But besides all the other things that we need reform in this country, I really think we need reform in family courts and divorce. I think it's very unfair. I get it. If you and your spouse build a business together, well, sure, But this idea that you have to take care of your spouse for the rest of their life, even though they cheated on you, even though they're a terrible person, even though they wrecked the marriage, let's say, seems very unfair to me. People can get jobs. And the idea that you have to have the amount of money to live the life you're accustomed to, that's really the key phrase there. Like, Just because you were a millionaire before doesn't mean you get to be a millionaire for the rest of your life just because you were married to some dude for 20 years. I mean, seems like that's really unfair. Seems like, okay, the guy's a millionaire, he should probably take care of you, but you you don't need a yacht too, is all I'm saying. You know? And if you got kids, yeah, the kids should be taken care of, but this idea that the breadwinner has to then move into a tiny apartment just to pay the spouse. And look, I know a guy, he was one of my clients. He was a gay guy, and he got gay divorced. And the same thing happened to him. He was the breadwinner in the couple, and his husband was like, he was like kind of, from what I understand, he told me, and I'm only hearing one side, but he was kind of a flighty artist guy, never made any money. And so when they got divorced, he went after all his money, like went after everything. JEC, Williams had a bunch of wives. Yeah. JEC, if you ain't no punk, we say we want prenup. Kanye didn't get prenup for his latest wife, who is now divorcing him. Oops. Actually, you spelled that ops, but oops. Indeed. Yeah, prenup. Then, you know, yeah, you should probably get a prenup. But, you know, even prenups can be fought in court. I hate to tell you. You can have all the prenups you want. It helps. But they can still take you to court, and you can still go broke, you know, fighting it out. But the real thing to do is hopefully to get to know the person you're marrying. That's number one. But yeah, a prenup isn't a bad idea. But they should change things and make it a little more fair. Okay? Make it a little more fair. You know, like, I understand if you've been out of the workforce for 20 years, you're not going to get a job in a week. But you'd probably be able to get a job within 5 years, I would say. You know, you give somebody 5 years, that's more than enough time. I think the limit should be about 5 years. Like, okay, yeah, you put in 20, sure. Get yourself 5 years of full money. And then after 5 years, it should start to taper off to something reasonable, within limits, maybe. And then, you know, eventually it just ends. But man, I know way too much about that subject. JC, you can go back to school and train for something. Yeah, 5 years is enough time to do that. Now, if you got kids, it gets a little more complicated. Maybe you need a little more time. You know, you work it out. Like, maybe that should be the focus, right? Like, it shouldn't be, the focus shouldn't be on the money. The focus should be, okay, you're now getting divorced and you don't have a job and you missed out on life or whatever, a career. But now, okay, your spouse agrees to pay for some sort of training or some sort of college, and then you go to college for 4 years, and then you will have the skills to go to work. Or you just get married again, and then everybody's happy. JEC, you can go back to school and train for... Oh, I read that one. Okay. Something like that. Something needs to be more... So they need some reform there. Niza 2 overtakes Star Wars The Force Awakens to become the 5th highest grossing movie ever worldwide international box office. This is an animated movie in China. It's now the 5th highest grossing movie worldwide. $2 billion. It's over $2 billion now. That's the movie. Yep. $2.054 billion. Now, most of this audience is in China, but I'm telling you, they're coming for Hollywood. The communists are coming for Hollywood. And this should be a wake-up call. But too many people in Hollywood are probably working for the communists. LeMay, are you willing to die for your wife? If the answer is no, don't marry her. Is she willing to stay by you when you are broke or sick? If the answer is no, don't marry her. Yeah, but those are questions that they have one answer when you're in love, but they have another answer when you're not in love. And that's the issue. People fall out of love and then it gets very dicey. I'm not asking for anything. I think that's anything major. Just make it fair. Just make it fair. JC, from what I hear, Niza is kind of like what they did with Black Panther. Rich Chinese paid for tickets for classes of kids to go see it. Doesn't matter. It's the perception. 2 billion. They didn't buy $2 billion worth of tickets. Sure, I'm sure they juiced it, but there's a lot of Chinese people in China, and this is a Chinese movie made by Chinese people about their mythos. It's got no communism in it, so it's probably pretty watchable if you're Chinese and you know the mythos a little bit. But again, I think this is a bad sign. I don't think China can beat us in a fair fight with their movies, but this is an indication that they're going to be competitors, at least at some level, because they have money. With $2 billion, they could just take $1 billion of that and throw it into development, and most of that will be wasted. They're communist. But a bunch of it, you might get another one or two of these movies that make $1 billion. You might get a worldwide hit that's big in America too. It might surprise you. You never know what they might stumble upon. So it's not a good sign. I mean, they might just throw $1 billion into, I don't know, more propaganda from their state media. Maybe they're using it, funneling it into bribes in Hollywood to keep destroying Disney or something. But it's not a good sign. We should be crushing them on the movie front. And we could. I mean, we're the kings of movies. But this perception will start to change people in Hollywood. Because a lot of people in Hollywood just go where the money is. So if some Chinese communist production company rolls into LA tomorrow with $500 million in development money, there are going to be people in Hollywood to go, oh yeah, I'll go work for you. And some of that momentum will take away from our movies. And they'll be afraid to criticize China even more. And they shouldn't be. They should be criticizing China in the movies. They should be doing a James Bond where he's up against a Chinese enemy operative. But they won't do it. Not under these conditions. What else? We already read that one. DC's media's Gridiron Dinner features a toast to the First Amendment, not to the president. Okay, whatever. Paul Rudd addresses Ant-Man's future in Avengers, Doomsday, and Secret Wars. I would expect his character to get killed or not show up at all. Because, you know, it's a shame. I really enjoyed the first Ant-Man movie, as you know. I love the second one, too. I know I'm in the minority in that. I like the character a lot. I didn't see the third movie because, well, I hear it's absolute trash. And his daughter, for some reason, is a main character. But it's a shame. He ruined a good character. I think they really did some good work with Ant-Man. Could have kept it up, but it's done. I'd be surprised if he's in it at all. It'll kind of depend on what his status is in Hollywood by the time they get around to shooting this thing. If Death of a Unicorn is like the biggest movie ever, oh, they'll put him in it. they'll say, "Oh yeah, we're gonna keep going forward with Ant-Man," and if not, it'll just be, "Oh yeah, Ant-Man. Yeah, we had a conflicting schedule. Couldn't get Paul to do a cameo. Sorry, everybody." Ardent, I forgot they made a third one. Ugh, that faux DOK. Yeah, no bueno. Over at Bleeding Fool, Eisner Award-winning comic creator calls out Marvel, stop effing creators over. Oh, is this a headline from 1985? Welcome to corporate comics, dude. Corporate comics, they've been doing stuff like this for years, and now you're gonna call them out. Not the industry's dying, I guess, and there's no point not to call them out, I guess, but not really gonna do much. What else is here? Oh, here it is. Stan Lee, the final chapter. Doc chronicles mistreatment of world's greatest comics creator. Just sounds sad. Documentary project by filmmaker John Bolerjack. Supposed to shed light on his final years. Is this his... No, that's a link to that. I don't know if I want to see this thing. Sounds like it'll be sad. Oh, here it is. Kickstarter campaign. See where that is. It's up to $65,000 with 25 days to go. Looking to get 300K. Ooh, that sounds like it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. I don't know, man. Probably should have done this as Indiegogo or one of the other ones where you get to keep the money and then you could have raised the rest of the money somehow. So, if you make a pledge, let's see some of the prizes here. Archival comics variant of Captured Hero, whatever that is. I guess that's about Stan Lee's final days. That's $50. If you want that. Set of 6 postcard size prints, $17. Captured Hero comic SLH variant, $50. Captured Hero comic Tom variant, $50. Captured Hero comic AGK variant. These are not great. I'm not really digging these. How about some signed comics or something? Like, I would have put in, you would have had to have done it ahead of time, but if you had some of Stan Lee's memorabilia, like a pair of his glasses, and sell them for like 100K or something. Captured Hero Cap Collectibles variant. Oh, okay. So all these variants. So $50 a pop. I mean, I understand you wanted to appeal to normal people who could afford it. All these variant things. Limited photo. Okay, there's $125 for a limited photo. $150 for the exclusive San Diego screening. And Florida screening. Okay, screenings. Okay. All right, I like that. Man, there's a lot of levels to this thing. Tokyo. Wow, it's worldwide. Holy cow. So mostly screenings, it looks like, and a few trailer things. Ardent. Ouch. Alex Ogle. Hollywood could prove its dropped pretensions to wokeness by adapting the books and comics of the ultimate Yellow Peril villain, Dr. Fu Manchu. Won't happen. Too stereotypical of the Chinese. Ardent. I think a lot of us want to let Stan go. Yeah. Sad. Over at The Wrap. Voice of America staffers denounce Trump's shutdown as national security issue that will spark celebrations in the autocratic halls of power. So thanks for that headline from, I don't know, 2 days ago. They signed the deal for the CR, right? So who cares? I think the rap is way too political. Dropkick Murphy singers tells MAGA fans shut the F up at a Boston show. There's no kings here. Yeah, that sounds legit. Criticism. I always get my political takes from the Dropkick Murphys. CNN compares AOC rise to post-Obama Republican Party best represents Democratic voters. Oh, God. MSNBC's Eamon Moyeldin warns Mahmoud Khalil's detention may be how fascism and totalitarianism are normalized in America. It's MSNBC, everybody. They're the worst. They're the worst. Okay. Okay, MSNBC, whatever you say. MSNBC is like a group of college students started a news network channel, and they just get dumber and dumber every time you check in. They're just saying something more and more hyperbolic about Trump. It's like, Jesus, give it a rest. Do you understand you're not helping your cause at all by just making up stuff? Like, that doesn't help your cause at all. You know, if you say something so hyperbolic, it might as well be a straight up lie. Why even say it? You know? If you wanted a shred of credibility, you could just acknowledge, well, it's good that Elon Musk is saving, for instance, the astronauts on the International Space Station. Like, that's an easy win. Everybody can admit that. Oh, it's good. He's going to save the astronauts on the International Space Station. Good. Is that not good somehow? Just acknowledge it. It's fine. Then move on, and you can talk about politics. And then you'd be able to talk about it with a little shred of credibility. If you say, oh, you know, Trump will probably do a good job on the economy because he did a good job the first time, prices are coming down. Like, you're not giving up ground that we don't already know. Then you could say, when you do criticize, you would hold a little bit of weight. And you could have reasonable criticisms. You could say stuff like, well, like I have criticisms of Trump. Like, I'm a little shaky on, you know, just stamping out the protest at Columbia. I don't want him to just stamp out protest. I want them to stop protests that get out of control and destroy the campus and hurt people and intimidate people. That's not right. So that much you could criticize. Like, it's a little, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's make sure that people can still protest, but, you know, some people let it get out of hand. And if you're a foreigner, you have different rules. It's as simple as. I can't imagine being a guest in someone else's country and saying, let's start a revolution. Like, I would never do that. I wouldn't go to Greece and say, you know, the government here suck. Let me organize a bunch of people and we'll go march at the Parthenon. No. First off, my instinct would be, well, this government's not very good. I think I'm going to leave at the end of my vacation. Or, you know, I would be polite about it. I would like, well, gee, maybe you need some more, I don't know, freedom of speech or something. I would make my criticisms very polite. Start a protest. You're a guest. So don't think that I don't want to see this guy deported. I want to see him deported. But my worry is it could get out of hand. And that you don't want to leave in place a precedent for, say, another administration who would take it too far. So you want to make your points very clear. And those are valid criticisms you could discuss. But they're not discussing it. They're too busy saying, it's fascism, everybody. Arden, send him up here. All right. Snow White's first reaction. Rachel Zegler is a shining supernova. Come on. All right. You want the fall to be harder. You can keep crying about it. Let's see. I keep talking about Jenna Ortega in the MCU and Iron Man 3. I guess they never really developed the character they were going to try to spin off. Percy Jackson's and the Olympians renewed for season 3 on Disney. Didn't the author like go super woke and like give the carte blanche to go wokeify his whole deal? God, I thought that was kind of sad. I don't even know this series. Ardent, LOL, Mr. Leahy would rewrite that headline. Percy Jackson and the Olympians renewed for season 3 on Disney Plus. Or are you talking about the Snow White headline? Snow White, first reactions are in. Rachel Zegler is a shining shitbird. I love Mr. Leahy on Trailer Park Boys. Ardent, Rachel Zegler is a shitting shit nova. That's right. Sorry, I don't know really curse, but it is funny. The Mr. Leahy stuff cracks me up. Starship Troopers reboot in the works from Neil Blomkamp. How are they going to screw this up? All right, let's see. They come to a understanding with the bugs and realize that it was their own aggression that started the war, and they instead declare peace, where bug and man live in harmony, and they cut to the future in which bug and human marriages are quite common, and half bug children run around the playground. Is that? Did I catch all of that? And then there's probably a lot of gay bugs as well. Yeah, I mean, people are going to be furious when you screw over Starship Troopers reboot, people. Don't do it, but I've said that before, and look how many times you listen to me then. Russo say leaked Marvel art isn't from Avengers Doomsday or Secret Wars. Okay. No, it looks fine. I mean, looks okay. That does not look like anything from Secret Wars unless they somehow fall into a medieval world somehow. Like some medieval stuff. There's a Black Panther in this. I don't know. This stuff leaked a few days ago. It had the female Silver Surfer and Scar, Son of Hulk, and Star-Lord, and Benedict Wong. I don't know if it's not from the Secret Wars. What is it from? It would be my question. Oh, wow, here's a shock. Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man viewership ratings nowhere to be found. Huh. You mean turning all the characters black or not white around Peter Parker in a new cartoon about Spider-Man didn't work? That's so crazy. I thought for sure everybody was sitting around waiting for Black Norman Osborn and Black trans Norman Osborn Jr. Jesus. You mean your friendly neighborhood woke Spider woke didn't work out? I screwed that one up. This cartoon's woke. Ardent, LOL, I found myself in the middle of Starship Troopers controversy on Twitter this week. LOL, it ended up my way bigger than I expected. This one writer watched it and said she didn't like Carmen. Oh, I saw that comment. After 35 minutes, it blew up after I had replied, not taking credit, just giving timeline. The drinker got a hold of it after someone responded and said Dizzy was ugly. I even got to interact. Nice. With Van Dien, fun times. Long story short, Dizzy, best girl. LeMay, it looks lame. I would not watch it as a kid. Yeah, the Spider-Woke looks really lame. It's just bad art too. I mean, I don't say that usually about cartoons, but that does not look good. Here's more about Rachel Zegler. That was from a few days ago. You know, the thing about Rachel Zegler too is the Snow White, the anticipation is so bad and the buzz is so bad, it might exceed its expectations and kind of save it a little bit, but I kind of doubt it. All right, and we already looked at that. Okay, that Park Place. Ardent Spooderman. Breaking: Warner Brothers Discovery head of HR Jennifer Remling has left the company. Good. At this point, I'm ready to fire everybody in every HR department. I don't think we need it. I think that might be the cornerstone of Woke's power, is the HR department. Scarlett Johansson refuses to join Instagram publicity for Jurassic World Rebirth, denies fan theories of Black Widow's return. That movie doesn't look good either. But for some reason, people love seeing Jurassic whatever, because I think they love dinosaurs, and they'll see them under almost any circumstances. And I don't quite get that. It's kind of like Planet of the Apes. If you make a Planet of the Apes movies, people just come. They just come, and you make $100 million. It's crazy. Same thing with Jurassic World. Dinosaurs and apes. I think you see where this is going. It should be Planet of the Apes, Jurassic World. That would be a good movie. It'd be all CGI. It'd be nothing but screaming and animals killing each other, but I think I might see that one. First, do no harm, the bare minimum oath all Disney Imagineers should take, but no longer do, an editorial by L.W. Ghost. I didn't know they took an oath. Alex Ogle, Spoogerman, Spider-Man's awkward teenage years where he can't yet produce web, but flings something far worse from his hands. Ardent, LOL movie pitch, Sydney Sweeney in very low-cut pantsuit with a very tight skirt discovers superpower is to convince people to do what she says simply by undoing her shirt. I think she already has that superpower. Okay, Rachel Zegler fires back at Snow White fan criticism on social media, touts her role in major box office bomb West Side Story to prove her point. That was from 2 days ago. Ardent, LOL. All right. And quick check-in with Breitbart, and then I think I got to hit a bathroom. Rachel Zegler, Gal Gadot, kept away from reporters at unusually muted Snow White world premiere in L.A. This looks totally fake, this picture. It's Zegler greeting little girls in Snow White costumes. Yeah, I think that's a setup. It's not a bad look. If she had stuck to just this movie would probably do okay. But I think this is all AstroTurf. Comedian Tim Dillon roast Rachel Zegler is in Hamas. I want to see dwarves. I don't quite get that, but sure. Ardent, Joan getting ready for her set? Yeah. Well, I think I'm going to wrap it in a few minutes here. A few more headlines, and then I'm out. Kim Kardashian smeared as bad guy from Germany after posing with Tesla robot Cybertruck KKK Kardashian? Oh, come on. Pathetic. Alex, I don't think my sides can take a set from Joan this late at night. Yeah, she had a long walkie. She's chilling out. You okay, Joan? Everybody misses you. James Carville tells liberals, get over your moral superiority after Love is Blind bride leaves groom for not being woke enough. I don't know if you saw this. This was stupid reality show BS, I think. But basically, Love is Blind is some reality show where you're engaged and then you get to know your spouse, and then the big question is, will they get married or will they be left at the altar or something like that. So anyhow, after going through the whole show, the bride decides not to marry the dude, even though she says she loves him. I don't think she really does. I think it's all a setup. But and then because he didn't like BLM enough, something like that, it was stupid. And finally, Michael Rappaport. Democrats are in the dump because you celebrate radicals like Mahmoud Khalil and Luigi Mangione. Yeah, Luigi Mangione, you have no business elevating him. Ardent. Bering and Sugar Tits cover Love is Blind. I think it's an Aussie show. Oh yeah, I watched that video. It was very funny. Or maybe just internationally franchised. Liberals haven't. Oh, and let me talk about, before I go, Bill Burr. Oh, here it is. Bill Burr is burning down, in my opinion, his credibility. I mean, just burning it to the ground. Ardent. Rappaport is ping-ponging again? No, he's basically, I think he's just taken his red pill to the point at which he realizes he can't support the Democrats anymore because they're so weak on the Israel issue in his eyes. And a lot of them are supporting the Palestinians because, again, the Democratic Party has been infiltrated by Marxists and leftists who they automatically default to people like the Palestinians in any conflict. It doesn't matter what the conflict is. They instantly default to them, and then they churn up the rhetoric. Ardent. Burring it? Yeah, so Bill Burr went on another podcast talking about Elon Musk and saying that he's a bad guy from Germany, and it's so tiresome. And it's a shame because, again, like Rappaport, Burr had a personality that does not go with the liberals, I'll say. And people, it certainly doesn't go with people on the left, like the leftist and the Marxist and the communist. Ardent. I wonder why Bill Burr didn't say Bill Nye was giving a bad guy from Germany salute at the Rally for Science. Yeah, it's ridiculous. There are literally dozens and dozens of images and videos of famous celebrities waving to the crowd, and it could be misconstrued as Elon's he was doing. And like, Elon is a genius. He's autistic. If anybody's on the spectrum, it's Elon. And that's fine. He's a genius. But the idea that the smartest man in the world said, you know what I'm going to do today? I'm gonna bring back the salute because that'll help me. Why would he do that? Oh, he's been secretly one of those guys all this time. That doesn't make any sense. Go back and look at the videos of Elon. Oh my God, the Democrats were tripping all over themselves. They couldn't laud him enough. The moment he leaves them, he's worse than the bad guy from Germany. It's the same pattern over and over again. And Bill Burr, I don't know if he fell for it or he's just making a career choice. I think he's just making a career choice. I think he's pretty cynical deep down. My understanding is his wife is very woke and very full of TDS. So maybe his wife's pushing him into it. I kind of don't know why he would listen to her. She's not famous. And it's his career. And I kind of think this is mostly the end of it, because I got to think his fan base is not happy with his attitude. But if he makes the transition into a serious actor and then leaves comedy behind, oh, he'll be fine. But I think he should seriously make that transition like today and just get out of comedy, because I wouldn't give you 10 cents for a Bill Burr stand-up special now. No way. No way. I was subscribing to his podcast. I used to listen to his podcast. Listen to him make snarky comments about sports and other things. Now, forget it. I don't want to hear him. Alex Ogle, Bill Burr's next comedy show can be called Burned Out Husk. Ardent, LOL, found the clip. Won't let me clip it. Okay. Upside, the badass Roman salute might actually get redeemed finally. Well, I don't know. I don't know if we need to do that. The Romans weren't exactly Democrats. Democratic, I'll say. The Romans were pretty ruthless. They just existed at a different time when it wasn't about political ideology. It was like, oh yeah, you guys going to surrender? Oh no? Okay, we're just going to kill everybody then. So, I mean, I guess you could say they were honest, but they weren't very nice. I mean, if you were okay with being enslaved until you could afford to buy your way out of slavery, which you probably never would be able to do, I guess you could say they're at least honest. But yeah, I mean, the Romans are fascinating, don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't want to live in Roman times unless I had a lot of money. But yeah, Bill Burr, no bueno, man. So I'm done with Bill Burr. I don't care. There's plenty of other comedians. Like, why would you do this? Ardent, that clip I sent was from the moment Nye did his N-word salute. He didn't, but it's more Romanesque than Elon's. Alex Ogle, actually, it's not a Roman salute. It was an affection used in the Renaissance paintings of Romans. There's no evidence the Romans used it. You like how I read that? Ardent at Alex. Oh, didn't know that. Yeah, there's all kinds of things, you know, like the thumbs up and the thumbs down. Actually, I've read that it was actually thumb out and thumb in, and the idea was the thumb represented the blade, and if you went like this, it meant no, don't kill him, and if you went like this, it meant no, stab him and kill him. So I heard. I don't know how true that is. You hear things. But yeah, I don't know why Bill Burr would do this. It makes me sad. You know, he doesn't have to get involved in politics at all. Not really. You know, he could just whine and complain about politics being in the news constantly, and he doesn't want to talk about it. He's trying to be like average Joe guy, but man, it did not come across in the last couple of podcasts, and that was it on Jimmy Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel, I forget. Just comes across as, yeah, it sounds like you got TDS. Sounds like you've been listening to your wife's political takes, and yeah, that just doesn't jibe with his fan base. His fan base is going to be mostly men, and I don't think they're going to go down that path. And to praise, I mean, his praise of the firefighters in LA after all the controversies, I don't know, man. Yeah, I get it. The firefighters, they're not in control, but when you wokeify the entire fire department, yeah, it's kind of okay, I think, to criticize them. Ardent, I think Bill Burr is worried he might lose that sweet Disney cash flow if he doesn't act like a wokey. Possibly. I don't see how they could cut him off. I mean, again, like, they cut off Gina Carano because I think in Disney's mind, she had stepped out of line and she said something. He could say nothing, right? He could say, I don't want to talk politics. Like, he could be that guy. I don't want to talk politics. I don't talk politics in my act. I don't talk politics on the podcast, okay? You know, he could do that kind of stuff. Now there's this, like, all this ammo to make fun of him. And he was on Howie Mandel's podcast, and Howie brought out the guy from the Smashing Pumpkins, based on some crazy rumor that they're actually half brothers or something. And Bill Burr got super mad. He seemed to get really mad at that, and I'm not sure why. I'm not sure there's any truth to the rumor, but whatever. It seemed like a weird thing for a comic to get that upset. Ardent, the thing that did him in for me was when he looked up and said he thought Gina Carano was a nice person and still towed the line she's bad afterwards. Gina got the boot for refusing to play the pronoun game. Yeah. Billy Corrigan? Lamau. All right, on that note, I'm going to wrap this up. So what did we learn today? Well, we learned that I'm not going to listen to Bill Burr's deal anymore, so might as well put him in Snow White. We learned a lot of things are still very woke. We learned that Hollywood is going to prop up Snow White no matter what it takes. Stan Lee's documentary needs money. Peter David needs money. Spider-Man needs new writers, in my opinion. Men's fiction needs to be more of a thing. Kung Fu is still alive in movies, and the movies didn't do too well this week. What did you learn, chat? I bet it was a lot. We always learn so much here. We learned, what else? Oh, here we go. Ardent, we learned that Bill Burr deserves Canadian citizenship. I would never Fed post, and I will trade him my spot. I'll let him know if I ever see him. I don't think I'll see him, though. Yeah, these famous people, I think they avoid me. Either that or I just don't go anywhere. They never come to my house. I mean, you think one of them might come to my house. At least say hello. Alex Ogle, the Piney fiction. Yeah, we also relearned that fan fiction is poison. Ardent. I learned Steven Seagal would be hilarious choice to pay the Asian in the Reed Destroyer. Alex Ogle, the Pineys needs more fan fiction. It absolutely does not. I do need a wiki, though. I should maybe develop that. I'm not sure how that works. I don't want to be associated with Wikipedia, though. Is there a way to build a wiki without it calling it a wiki? I'd have to put it on my own site, I guess. Yes, and speaking of the Pineys, I finally sold my first copies of Book 17 this Saturday. There we go. So it was very exciting to do that. So the new book is out. Of course, now I'm out of books 14 and 15. I'm waiting on yet another re-up from Amazon. Good problem to have. Good problem to have. And I'm working on book 18 as we speak. Ardent, I think Jim Butcher has something like that in the D4, the Dresden Files. Interesting. All right. I'm about to ruin this seat, so I got to hit a bathroom. So I want to thank you all for tuning in. Alex, there's been a Piney so devilish that he puts pineapple on pizza where it belongs. Shut up. Shut up. And on that terrible note, I'm going to end the live stream. You and your pineapple-ness. Joan, do you want to say hello before we go? I hear you walking around back then. Oh, yeah, okay. She looks at me like, what? Later, Ardent. Later to you all. Thanks for tuning in. Next week I'm good for the Piney Podcast. I may have a surprise for you, Pineys, because this weekend we were supposed to go to try to see the grave of the famous Pineys bandit Joe Mulliner, but it was kind of stormy today, so we put it off. But we put it off for next Sunday, so we're going to try to do it next Sunday before it gets too warm and the pines are full of ticks. Ardent, see you next week. Same no pineapple on pizza time. Same no pineapple on pizza channel. Thank you for that. Clint Miller gives me a salute. That's what '07 means. It means a salute. Ah, cool. Thank you, Clint. Alex, have a great week, Tony. To Tony. Thank you, Alex. '07, salute. Ardent. Clint Miller, stormy. Yes, it was stormy today. And yes, so we'll be back next week at 7. Check out the Piney podcast later. We'll see you in the next one.